run it up, run it up. I'm in the kitchen, cooking up something new, yeah. She's singing along to our favorite tune, wow. Enjoying the breeze from Toronto. They admire my watch at the show. You seem like you had something to share. What's up? I thought so. Okay. I'm back in this game, now you're waiting on the bench. I thought so. Okay. He's back in this place like he had left something behind. Celebration for tonight. I'm feeling ready for the night. Confidence high, we making moments to remember. And leaving behind the worries, moving forward.
Oh yeah.
Got a plan but no rush, just taking it slower and better.
Got a ball part of the day.
My confidence never wavers.
No.
I'm focused on the table. No time for negativity. Let's lift up. This energy's electric, bringing us together. Feeling alive and fulfilled. Shawty saying that I am the one. Who does she think she's talking to? She wants someone who brings unity. After freshening up with a clean routine.
You're rocking with the best.
We got something boiling today. If we ain't never had something boiling, oh, we about to apply the pressure to LoanDepot. We about to apply the pressure. The pressure is getting too much. They keep running. No. You wanted to foreclose? I'm gonna make you stand on it. Let's get it.
Run it up, running band. They scared of my team, they know who I am. They rolling the dice, we won cause we plan. The things that they teach, don't know how to stand. On my wrist like a stage, they can't glance. You look like you wanna let go of stress. What's up? I thought so. Oh, I am the blueprint, if not, why you copy me, fam? What's up? I thought so. Okay, I cannot help that they copy. Hey, I am that dad, call me Poppy. They wish they created the set. Yes, they on my D like a jockey. When it comes to the print, I'm the blue. Who? Every complaint, draft is smooth. Supreme Elite team be the ones. Yo, I created my own school. Facts. I came from the trenches. I came from riding them benches. To proving my case with exhibits. My craft is exquisite. I find where they hiding them digits. The cancer that's not in remission. Hey, please pay attention. You can't recreate the five lenses. You can't duplicate what is written. You either gon' pay the tuition or pay for assistances. Or pay the mistakes when you case it, dismiss them. I come with everything that's under the kitchen sink. I haven't slept in a week. They scared while I'm willing to compete. These scammers are devils and I keep them under my feet. Hey, they saying they win, I never take their prescription. They never coming from the plaintiff's position. I am the blueprint, blatant admission. Check it, when I talk classes in session, professionals, even the tacos respect it. Show me a win, that's not a rejection. Tell me the truth without all the stretching. These gurus are boring and it's stretching. These students are dumb, desperate depression. Yeah, I'm done with this lesson. Came from the streets, still I'm a step.
All right.
Run it up, running band. They scared of my
go.
team, they know who I am. They rolling the dice, we win cause we plan. On the things that they teach, don't know how to stand. On my wrist like a stage,
let's go.
They can't glance. You look like you wanna let go of stress. I thought so.
All right.
You're rocking with the best.
Let's go. Okay. All right. So, you haven't watched already, it is posted on my YouTube videos. My client was in court last time. It was a summary judgment trial. Backdrop, she was with 4 different gurus. She was ordered to respond to the complaint. You know, they had her filing a bunch of trespass on the account and trespass on the estate, and you didn't file the tax forms and notice of principles. So she got into judicial default because she never really responded to the complaint under the rules of procedure. Now, she responded to it, but she didn't respond to it under law, because majority of these social media teachers, when they fight mortgages and they're, in autos and high stake cases, they never look at the rules and they file it based on what they believe is true, or they push their own, belief systems off onto the client. And she ended up almost losing her home. So by the time she came to me, we had like a week before the first summary judgment trial. So I had to, go into full set U mode. So we was able to get the trial continued because the judge couldn't issue the order. So it's continued from March 12th to June, like June 10th, June 12th. It was at that summary judgment trial here, That's on my video where you'll get the full context of why we attacked the numbers. The trial was continued to July 10th. Now, LoanDepot filed another motion to continue the summary judgment trial till September 1st. You're at the summary judgment stage. All you got to do is show the figures. Have you had your witnesses there? All they got to do is say, yep, this is what we use in the ordinary course of business. Yep, this is what we got. Yep, that's all you got. You at the summary judgment trial. Because even though they was in judicial default before they got to me, and they responded, we actually responded to the complaint 4 months later. That's how long they went without even responding to the complaint. That's a long time. I could see if you was 30 days or a couple of weeks. Man, the judge was like, nah. But it's not a real final standing order. But even if you're in judicial default, there still must be a summary judgment trial. Basically, a summary judgment trial / evidentiary hearing, because one of the elements to foreclose, one of the major elements, one of the most important elements is the amounts due. So if you go back, watch the video, you'll see what happened there. We kept attacking the numbers, and the judge, it became too much for the judge. Obviously, they couldn't rule. So today, now that they filed the motion to continue to September 1st, which I have no problem with that, because mortgages drag out. I love the long game. Now we're going to explore what happens when now all the evidence that you thought you was using to secure the foreclosure is now being used against you. All the evidence you put on the record is the same evidence we're going to use against you. Remember, this ain't a credit card. This ain't a third-party debt. This is the big boys and big girls game. So let me go ahead and play the video. Go ahead and get my stuff situated. We come back. We're going to get right into it.
On your review of the records that are maintained in the ordinary course of business and explain all these numbers and how they're arrived at, the defense is questioning.
Okay, so we have a principal amount of $316,690.47.
That was left on the mortgage, correct? That was the outstanding balance on the mortgage?
Correct.
All right. That was
Interest?
time of default?
Yes.
All right.
Which, Your Honor, the final judgment just show the interest dating back to April 1, and the witnesses testified to the default date of May 1, 2023, just so there's clarity on that.
Okay. Run that by me again.
Well, what do you know? How convenient LoanDepot's attorney now had a medical procedure taking place on the same day as the July 10th trial date. I mean, she knew this was the trial date for a few weeks now. First, it was the court who kept continuing the trial because LoanDepot can't get their numbers right.
I'm beginning to agree with the defense that there's some confusion.
The new culture's client executed his game plan to perfection at the June trial. The litigation specialist and accountant were no match for the SETU teachings.
Counsel, I think this is becoming too complicated to be doing this on Zoom.
Already in judicial default before she found the new culture, and at the summary judgment trial stage, the new had to go in full balance sheet accounting mode. What are the odds she survives 2 summary judgment trials, 2 of expert witnesses, and the judge assisting LoanDepot by answering questions and explaining things for them along the way?
Okay. Does that mean that the lender had to pay the insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
The defense mentioned something about corporate advances, which generally my understanding is that would be more where you're paying for insurances or taxes.
Yes, as you can see, Your Honor, then the entry title.
This is not the normal credit card case. This is a mortgage for almost $500,000. The stakes are high, their livelihood are at stake, and after 2 attempts to take their property, they are still in the game. But wait a second. The new culture may have just dropped an atomic bomb on LoanDepot, as everything he teaches and advocates for has been used in this case. And furthermore, The new exhibits will shed light on how he looks past the numbers on the contract and exposes the system that creates those numbers. The Supreme Elite Team University influence is evident in this case, as he has taken everything LoanDepot submitted as their evidence and has used it against them. Remember, what they think is evidence in their favor is actually evidence against them. Imagine going against someone who uses your evidence as their evidence. Imagine using a contract as evidence against them. Imagine looking at a contract 5 different ways. As he always says, we don't fight against the lender. We expose the system they have to protect. Stay tuned as we break down the groundbreaking exhibits she will be filing this week, and let's see how LoanDepot defends against their own admissions. Powered by the Supreme Elite Team University, where we look past the contract and consumer laws to understand the systems that creates those laws.
You're rocking with the best. You're rocking with the best.
Let's run it. Let's run it. Let's get it.
You're rocking with the best.
Welcome to this another live stream powered by the Supreme Elite Team University. We are back today because we are at the stage in this proceeding where I truly believe that the judge is stuck between a rock and a hard spot. Remember, it's not about getting a dismissal without prejudice on their end. That means nothing to me. I know for a lot of people, that's a great defense. But when you're a numbers person, I'm a numbers guy. I'm an accountant guy. I'm a numbers guy. I'm always looking at that underlying debt, that underlying obligation. That's what I'm looking at. Remember, I've made the distinctions plenty of times. Like a FDCPA, FCRA, that does nothing to the underlying debt. The reason why I don't pursue those claims like that, probably once in a rare blue moon, is because I'm more focused on the underlying debt. And courts have been clear. If you are in default on a mortgage, the odds of them granting you quiet title is slim to none. There has to be multiple totalities of circumstances that goes into it. They have this hidden rule within the courts: no free house. This is why, although these cases are supposed to be dismissed with prejudice, they'll dismiss them without prejudice. This is why you see the lenders dismissing their own case anytime chains of assignments and whatever issues that you raise, that could be a risk factor for them. This is why they have no problem dismissing their own case. If the courts took it back to what it's supposed to be, that dismissal without prejudice that you see them file, that would be more like a settlement, a significantly reduced balance. Now, let me make one thing clear. When you're dealing with a mortgage, you got to keep things in context, especially if you're in default. You are dealing with a $500,000, sometimes $300,000, $400,000. You're dealing with a substantial amount of debt. It's a substantial amount. So any type of win, whether it's a reduced balance, whether they knock $100,000 off, whether they knock half off, whether they restructure the payments, where they're more favorable, I tell people you should not turn that down. And if you know, financially, you shouldn't turn it down in every case. Because when you chase the grand slams in the ninth innings, home runs out the park, everything got to be a grand slam, everything got to be 100% clear, you may find yourself actually tricking your own self up. So if they come with a settlement, I always tell people to accept it. If it includes forgiveness of the underlying debt, if it's attached to a property, you know, as a matter of course, you're going to end up with the free and clear title to the property anyway. See, I like to be realistic. They're in a precarious situation because they were already in judicial default. Now we're at the pretty much prove the amounts due stage. This is all LoanDepot has to do is prove the amounts and they get possession. The problem with LoanDepot is running into is the defendants in this case is with someone that actually reads balance sheets like an accounting firm. He can track the payments, not basically your principal and interest. It goes beyond the principal and interest payments, and he can track the actual classifications on their financial statements of position. So as you'll see in these exhibits, you will actually see why it's now becoming burdensome for them to actually file it. Now, give me a second. Give me 1 minute. I just looked at, I got one exhibit that I did not load up to the files. Give me 1 second, TikTok and YouTube. Let me load that file up, and then we are going to get into it. So while you wait, I'm going to play the Supreme Elite Team University's theme song. TikTok, y'all going to go on mute for a second while airdrop the files.
They studying the source now. Supreme Elite. New Empire talk. Came on reading numbers. They were reading memes. He was reading filings. Planning out the dream. Turn every late fee in the case law heat. Judge bang gavel. He don't skip a beat. They like how you flip stress into assets. How you turn a loss in the last check. Thomas took notes, broke codes, then he proved it. Now the classroom global and the language fluid. Thomas is the blueprint. Write that in the sky, let the crew print. From the courtroom smoke to the new man.
All right, give me 1 second. Almost there.
Thomas is a blueprint. Supreme Elite team, that's the school stamp. From the first lay bill to the full camp. New culture empire, watch the flag plan. Supreme Elite Team University. Turn the credit score into currency. Turn the closed door to a first key. Turn a side job to a legacy. He beat odds, then he beat litigation. Now we teach law like a new translation. From confusion into consultation.
We are back. We are back. My bad about that. Had to get that. Had to get that going in. Now, the problem with this The problem with this one is I won't be able to like share it to Chrome, so I'm just gonna have to read it. Now, which one are we going to pull up first? Oh, let's go down. Let's start here. Why not? TikTok, we are over at the New Culture Empire. We are over at the New Culture Empire. Now, for those of you looking, as you can see here, you know, cases ongoing. I know they're a little private. They don't want to, you know, have their stuff off. So this is Defendant's Exhibit N. I have 62 pages of exhibits. Once again, a lot of people go online and want to start citing accounting insecurities. Like, yeah. It's cool. But here's one of the things that you got to understand. If you're the defendant, when they bring a lawsuit with you, bring a lawsuit against you, the odds of having the first thing people want to do is remand the case to federal court. The reason why these cases stay in state court when they bring the lawsuit against you is because on the face of their complaint, there's no federal questions or federal laws that are pleaded. Remember, the plaintiff sets the venue. When they file a foreclosure against you, is based on the state laws and the state statutes that governs negotiable instruments, secure instruments, assignments, who has the right to collect. These are state law statutes. So since lenders rarely, if ever, plead federal laws on the face of their complaint, you trying to remand the case to federal court, you're pretty much wasting your time. Actually, it's more likely a stall tactic. Right? So in this case here, remember when I said I always take their evidence and what they file and use it against them. I know a lot of people think that's something easy to duplicate, but it's actually not. Plaintiff Supplemental Exhibit 5. This is their supplemental. Remember, this is their. I just took their exhibits and converted it into their exhibits. Well, the defendant's exhibits. Plaintiff's own judgment figures worksheets and 5-page account history. The worksheet identifies investor type as GNMA and the investor number as G13. Identifies the account as a first mortgage FHA residential loan and states a record corporate advance balance of $18,350.40 within a total payoff demand of $422,516.86. See, YouTube, remember, they're dealing with a numbers guy. I am a numbers guy. I'm going to dissect these numbers to the 10th degree. So this is the exhibit, our exhibit now. The account history, unlike the customer statement plaintiff sent to borrowers, breaks the corporate advances into categories. It's attorney advances, property preservation advances, and miscellaneous default expense advances. Now, where's the source of this exhibit that we're using? It's the plaintiff supplemental schedule of exhibits filed on June 4th, highlight added by defendants. No text altered, offered as a statement of a party opponent under 90.80318 Florida statutes. So if you get down here, it says G&A G13. It's at the top right. You got the per diem amount. That's $53.14. They got the total principal balance, $316, $690.47. Now the highlighted parts, the escrow advanced amount of $24,753.98. That is a big thing. Total fees, $31.50. Total accumulated late charge amount, $310.12. So the recorded corporate advance, $18,350 that they added to the $316. And then they added the $24,000. Then they added the, look, this is what they added. Now these are the new numbers. Now look at the interest amount, $61,956.15. Okay. You think that's legit? Now let's go here. You got the escrow advance, right? On June 2nd, they received $212 and they applied $212 in an advance. The mortgage insurance distribution, it's due by August 1st, but they applied it. They made the payment of $212 on June 2nd. But if you look at the escrow advance, remember, we got to go back up here. We got to go back up here. What did it say? Escrow advances is broken down into categories: attorney advances, property preservation advances, and miscellaneous default expense advances. So yes, how it goes from their side of the fence. When they're in these contracts with FHA, Ginnie Mae, or HUD, they get advances when the months you're in default. They get advances from the investor or from HUD, that those advances that they're giving to them, the lender, is going to be recovered by the borrower. That right there. So they're charging the advances that they get to the borrower. This is why you see the mortgage insurance distribution, $212. See how they minus the $212 from the mortgage insurance distribution and added it to the payment of $212. See, that's that hidden accounting trick that they're using. Now let's go to property preservation. You see that advance balance? Look how much they advanced them. $24,753.98. Look at the corporate advance applied. So out of $24,000 that they received $24,000. What are they doing with that $24,000? $753.98. They passing that advance amount that they received on to the borrower. These why the numbers keep climbing, but they can't explain them. Now, if you look here, $38 was applied on May 28th. We are live on YouTube as well. $330 was applied May 28th. May 15th, $165. May 15th, on the same day, $19. May 15th, $47. May 15th, $99. These are all advances that they received after they commenced the lawsuit. Now, if you go here, down to the property preservation advance, it's another $212 that they're applying to the account, right? Now, if you go down here, miscellaneous default expense advance, $264, $660, $363, $47, right? So all these numbers down here, these are the numbers that, if you go here, the escrow advance between February and May. This is what they applied to it. $24,000. Now the mortgage insurance distribution, which was due on September 1st, 2026, they distribute 212 from that to bring the total advance to $23,905. But let's not stop there. Look at these miscellaneous default expenses. Look at all these amounts right here. Look at all these amounts. $1,300, $490, $199, $165, $19. Look at all these amounts. These has nothing to do with the use or forbearance of money. Remember when I said yesterday, when you understand the system that creates the numbers on your contract, which Set You teaches, now you understand why these numbers are here. See, you'll understand why the numbers are there, and then you'll understand why those numbers have nothing to do with the mortgage lender. This is all part of their agreements since they were in default more than 90 days. The advances kick in, and they're trying to charge the advances that they receive to cover their own ass against the investors. They're charging that back to the borrower, not by contract. They didn't say, hey, if we don't make our obligations to the investors and you default and we got to get an advance and they got to front us money to cover our obligation, then we're going to charge that back to you. Where's any evidence? And this is why I tell people, and I don't mean to sound like that, like the average casual person is not going to understand this concept that's going on. This is corporate financing, advanced accounting, deep, intricate understanding of their inner structures with these securitizations and the facilities that they use. This is all what this is right now. This is not your average consumer defense. Now, if you look here, the county tax disbursements, $3,649.97. See, I had to disperse that to the balance. Where you get that money from? Now, if you just look at all the, see the highlighted parts? These are all the highlighted parts. Look at this. Flood insurance disbursements. Flood insurance disbursements. There was no flood. How you get a disbursements from the flood insurance? How you get enough money to add the flood insurance? Because all this is going to the investors. Mortgage insurance disbursement. Where you get all that from? You must have insurance contracts with third parties that you're taking out on this loan. You must have credit default swaps. And since there's a default, you get to cash in on it. Oh, don't act like we don't understand what's going on. Now, if you continue to scroll down here, look, it's all the same. Property preservation advance, a corporate attorney's advance, late. Now they got a late charge assessed. Now look at the late charge assessed. But the late charges stopped in 2025. I don't see no late charge. Because why would the late charges stop in 2025 when you was charging it to them down in 2024? Right here. Why would the late charges stop? That's a question to be explored. Why? I know why the late charges stop. But ask yourself, why would the late charges stop? Now you got to dig deep into the corporate finance side. Now you got to understand what's LoanDepot's role here. Now you got to get deep into this. Y'all, this right here, this was originally filed as an exhibit by LoanDepot. They are now filing this as their own exhibit. Remember, we use their evidence that they're going to use against us, and we take that same evidence and throw it back in front of their face and use it against them. Can you imagine taking their own evidence, their own admissions, and everything that they have against you and flipping it around and throwing it back on them in a mortgage, in an auto? Can you imagine? Now, look at this late charge. And if you look here, another 3,562 county disbursements. Now, let's go down here. Now, these are the funds applications. $220, all this, right? Okay, so this is that. So this is what broke that down. Now, let's get to Exhibit C. Now, I did not include every single exhibit that I have because, yeah, I ain't gonna give you the whole playbook, but there's some pertinent parts. There's over 60. I got a whole binder, 62 pages of exhibits and explaining why this is relevant to the case. So, disclosures describing service advances, auxiliary fees, and amounts recovered from borrowers and investors. This is that. Remember, we take their own admissions. Many people have tried to take their own admissions, but what they'll do is they'll get a copy of their filings, and then they'll take those filings and just attach it to the lawsuit. They'll print off like 200 pages of their SEC filings and just attach it to their lawsuit. Like, here, look, it's in here somewhere, Judge. I don't know where it's at. I was just told to do it because that's part of that's what goes on in these space. They just say do it and I do it. I've never seen anyone who sent me documents who talked about their public filings, their registration filings. I've never seen anyone break it down as to why you're filing those in the court. What relevance does it has to your case outside of, I believe securitization eliminates my debt. I haven't heard another explanation for the use of consumers bringing up securitization outside of the beliefs that it kills the debt. Now, so that's taken from pages includes 18, 29, 34, 57, 58, 60, 61, F82, F83, F106. Highlighted has been added by the defendants for the convenience of the court. It's not part of the original documents. No text has been altered, added, or amended. Now, if we go to the highlight parts, because that's the most important parts, the highlighted parts. So when I tell y'all I've read over 10,000 pages of these filings, talking about it could be 330 pages. I'm going to take several weeks to read the whole thing and take notes. It's gotten so common and they all do the same thing that I just skip down to the parts to see, all right, see if they got it there. Yep, they got it there. All right, cool. That's all it is. And scroll down. It could be a totally different company. I'll just scroll down. All right, is that? I just want to make sure it's there for them. Cool. All right, ready to go. So, our servicing rights are highly volatile assets with continuing changing values. And these changes in value or inaccuracies in our estimates of their value could adversely affect our financial conditions and results of operation. Well, hold on. Now we cooking with Crisco. He says they never provided the loan. From a legal standpoint, how would you prove that in court, that they never provided the loan, when the application clearly says the lender includes the lender's successors and assigns? Meaning, according to them, your lender includes the ones who actually put the money up. So they're all deemed the lender. And the note, indeed, well, the deed of trust mainly is going to say, we can sell this note one or more times. See, this is one of the things that I mean. It's not, see, in a mortgage, that's not sufficient to say they never provided the loan. That is not sufficient in court. Do you know how many years? Well over 10 years. I want to be generous and say 15. People have been saying you never loan me nothing. The courts call that the vapor money theory. And the courts are, I'm from my research of case law, this is not the first time I've heard that statement. They never provided the loan. That doesn't matter. Let's say per se you were correct. Let's just say per se that you were correct. Them per se not providing the loan does not affect the obligation to pay. It's a common practice that they get outsourced fundings to originate the loan. The money goes from the person who gave them the money, they get the money, and then they give it to you. So the way the money flows, and knowing that this is big business for the government and corporate finance in the secondary market, a lender doesn't necessarily have to be secluded to the one who originated the loan. The lender includes them, their counterparties, the investors. That's who it includes. Read your 1003 or 65 applications, because when you sign it, you've already agreed. So here's the thing. You can't sign or agree to things because at your mindset at the time, you would just sign it because you only cared about the house. Now, when trouble comes, you want to go back and say there's a bunch of violations. You've already signed it. You signed the note. You signed the deed of trust. Now, well, it was an unconscionable contract. I didn't know why I was signing. Now the courts is going to look at the timing. The courts are going to look at the timing, because anybody that normally in the corporate finance world that brings up unconscionable contracts and stuff that's not right here, they don't wait until their obligation to pay or their obligation is due. Anyone that has a real problem, unconscionable contract, something's wrong, they filed the suits off the jump. They don't wait. We can't be like, in this space, the answer can't just be, I only found out when I was in default. I didn't know then. That can't be the answer. If there was something wrong with your contract, you should have brought it from the door. Like I did. Sorry, man, that those arguments are not suffice. That wouldn't be good sound advice. So the value of our servicing rights is based on cash flows projected to result from the servicing of related loans and continually fluctuates due to a number of factors. Our servicing portfolios is subject to runoff, meaning that loans serviced by us may be prepaid prior to maturity, refinanced with a loan not serviced by us, or liquidated through foreclosure, deed in lieu of foreclosure or other liquidation process, or repaid through standard amortization of principal. Oh, if you you understand exactly what's going on right now. See, understanding and knowing what's going on is not enough. We push the envelope to explain why and how it applies. See, and why did I do that? Because I looked across the landscape for years, and all the teachings stop at this is what's going on. This was going on. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. And their way of explaining the way is always some fraud. You didn't loan me nothing. You loan me credit, not money. The connections to what is happening and the why and how it applies, there's still a disconnect. As a result, our ability to maintain the size of our servicing portfolios depends on our ability to originate additional mortgages. In determining the value of our servicing rights, management makes certain assumptions right there. Right there. See, this is corporate financing at its best, especially in the mortgage secondary market. This is at its finest. This is standard. This is standard. And this is the part. This is why it's dangerous. in mortgages and autos, or asset, if you're in a transaction that's subject to an asset-backed securitization or mortgage or mortgage-backed securitization, where those securities are issued, the layers to the game increases. This is why in Set U, we don't focus on the consumer side. Remember, 5 lenses of the contract, that's a real thing. And it's patent pending with the United States. It's a real thing. Like literally, that one contract is looked at multiple different ways. The reason why I do the way I do it, number one, it's effective. I mean, it's evidence of it being effective in a securitized transaction. Number two, I don't want to fight these people just solely based on the consumer side. I want to fight these people based on how they see the contract, how the regulators see the contract, how the investors see the contract, how multiple lenses to the contract. Because once I understand how they think and how they see it, the consumer claims are even stronger. And it's not the fact that the claims are stronger by nature. What ties it all together is you're not even making up consumer claims. You're taking their system and throwing it back in their face. In determining the value of asset management, use certain assumptions, many of which are beyond our control, including, amongst other things, the speed of prepayment and repayment with the underlying pools of loans, projected and actual rates of delinquencies, defaults, and liquidations. That's highlighted. Auxiliary fee income and amounts of future servicing advances. So when we go back here, now you go, where these advances coming from? None of this has to do with a mortgage transaction. This is corporate financing at its best. This is highly advanced corporate financing. If you think you are in a consumer transaction, I'm sorry. I know they created consumer laws. I know they created consumer rights. But notice, if you look at majority of the consumer laws, where they enforce them, where do they enforce them at, really? At the third-party debt buyer. That's where they really enforce them at. You think about it. Why do you think third-party debt buyers get the shit into the stick in this world? Why do you think corporate giants like JP Morgan, you think you're going to use like average consumer laws against them? I'm talking about en masse. This ain't credit cards. This ain't third parties. This is mortgage. The stakes are just higher. It's a different game going on. You are not in a consumer transaction in a mortgage. I know it has all the appearance of a consumer lending. That's the smoke screen. And then they slap them consumer laws in there to get you more. But like I said, the consumer laws they enacted, and I'm not talking about just reading the statutes. Many people understand consumer laws because they read the statutes. No. You got to go by the intent and find the underlinings when they're enacting these laws and converting them into statutes. Because there is not one consumer law that is on the books today, not one, that has been passed that will adversely affect the secondary market, because the government got their biggest hands in that practice. Every time there's a consumer law passed, there's a backdoor loophole that's left open for them to continue operations as normal. Look at the CFPB. That ain't nothing but that is the biggest smoke screen. The CFPB. Look at your QWRs. Look how they tell you, okay, this is a qualified. As a matter of fact, oh, I don't want to get too much off it, but yeah, just look at it. A qualified written response under the statute is this, servicer, servicing, and servicing. Now, what about, why don't y'all make laws that actually gets into the substance of the transaction? You won't find it. You won't find it. Because they intentionally won't do it. It's what's not being talked about. They remain silent on a lot of things. The things that they remain silent on, that's my focus. And you're not going to find it on the face of a consumer law. You're not. That's why we got to bring it into the fray. Now, go back to this highlighted part. In addition, technological advances and heightened e-commerce activities have increased consumers' accessibility to products and services. This has intensified competition among banks and non-banks in offering mortgage loan. We may be unable to compete successfully in our industries, and this could adversely affect our business, financial conditions, and results of operations. Increase in mortgage loan delinquencies and defaults may adversely affect our business, financial conditions, and results of operation. The level of home price and mortgage price appreciation affects performance in the mortgage loan industry. For example, falling home prices between 2007 and 2011 across the United States resulted in higher LTV ratios, loan to value ratio, lower recoveries in foreclosure, and an increase in loss severity above those that would have been realized had property values remained the same or continued to increase. None of this is in your consumer laws. None of it. There is a risk that housing prices decline, reducing borrower equity and incentives to replay. Additionally, adverse macroeconomics conditions may reduce borrowers' ability to pay. Further, if rates continue to rise, borrowers with adjustable rate mortgage loans may face higher monthly payments as the interest rates on those mortgage loans adjust upward from their initial fixed rates or low introductory rates. All of these factors could potentially contribute to an increase in mortgage loan delinquencies and corresponding defaults and foreclosures. You see the system, it's setting you up. This is the system that creates your contract. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the numbers on the contract. I'm not talking about TILA right now. I'm not talking about RESPA right now. I'm not talking about the CFPB, FDC. I'm talking about the system that creates the contract. So when I ask a person, explain to me how those numbers that represents the APR in the finance chart, explain how those numbers are calculated. This is where you'll get a lot of gaslighting, moving the goalpost. And I don't ask people that question to have a pissing contest. Only ask people those questions who think they know way more about the system that they barely understand on the corporate finance side. Because it's not even a question that's talked about today. Think about it. I mean, what average conversation about the APR, the percentage? Who, like, where in mass are they be like, all right, we're going to break down how these numbers even, why they appear on your contract the way they appear. Increased mortgage loan delinquencies, defaults, and foreclosures may result in lower revenue for loans that we service for the agencies because we only collect servicing fees from performing loans. We only collect servicing fees for performing loans. Okay, let's stop right there. So, what if the loans are not performing? You don't collect servicing fees? Huh? Now it gets back to, hold on, March 12th, you said you was the original creditor. You sure? I mean, think about it. You could be a creditor just by possession of the note alone. By mere possession. You could be a non-holder in possession and still enforce the note. And I'm going to stick in Florida because it's where this case is at. You could be a non-holder in possession. Yes, you can. Can you be a non-holder in possession with rights of a holder? Possibly. But you presented that you was the original creditor. You sure? Okay. Something to fix. Something. Additionally, while increased delinquencies generate, look at this, while increased delinquencies generate higher auxiliary fees. Hold on. So let's go back to the spread out. So you mean to tell me these red numbers, these are the auxiliary fees? These are what you're charging? These are these auxiliary fees? Huh? Late charge excess? You see these auxiliary fees, these miscellaneous default expenses? Those are the extra fees that you're charging that has nothing to do with traditional loan. And so I tell you, they slap you in the face with you're in a traditional loan consumer laws while the whole time they're playing a different ball game, aka 5 lenses of the contract. You think they're in a consumer transaction with you. No, the hell they're not. And yes, the professionals, the ex-SEC attorney has confirmed this. You're not in a consumer transaction. You are in a corporate finance transaction. On the substance. This is why one transaction, I can give you 2 different ways. I can give you the ways that they presented you on the contract. I give you the ways, the numbers, how they really look on their side of the fence. Because they're not looking at your contract from a consumer standpoint. Because I'm a traditional consumer lender. That is no way, that's not even how their system works. Said it right here. Additionally, while increased delinquencies generate higher auxiliary fees, including late fees, these fees are not likely to be recoverable in the event that the related loan is liquidated. Look, they just got it right here. Look, these are auxiliary fees. Couldn't explain it at the trial on June 12th, could you? When we asked you to explain how you calculate those numbers, explain the source of those numbers. I didn't tell her to ask that question because I need them to give the answer. I had her ask the question because I already knew the answer. I know they don't want to explain it. This is why all they were doing is just reading from a screen. This has, what your YouTube, what you're looking at right now, 98% of what you're looking at has nothing to do with traditional lending. Remember, this is the accounting. Remember, bring it down to the consumer side. See, I take the corporate finance, drop it right in consumer. Inaccurate amounts due. Notice, we're not using consumer laws to prove inaccurate amounts due. We're using the corporate finance side to prove. Remember when I said, when you understand the 5 lenses of the contract, your consumer claims are better, and the way you show and prove it's a stronger case. Using the corporate finance side to prove the consumer claims. Inaccurate amounts due. What's one of the main things that they have to have right? Accurate balance due. You can't accurately explain it because they know they're not in a traditional mortgage transaction with you. They're in a corporate finance transaction. So their numbers are different, and why it's there is different from what we'll believe it's there. Why do they keep doing this? All right. These fees are likely to be liquidated. Also, increased mortgage loan defaults may ultimately reduce the number of mortgage loans that we service. Cool. Increased mortgage loan delinquencies, defaults, and foreclosures will also result in a higher cost to service those loans due to the increased time and effort required to collect payments from delinquent borrowers and to liquidate properties or otherwise resolve loan defaults if payment collection is unsuccessful. And only a portion of these increased costs are recoverable under our security servicing agreements. So only a portion of this. Do you notice how it said it's only recoverable under our servicing agreements, not recoverable under the mortgage contract? Remember, you're not in a consumer contract with these people. None of this has anything to do with the mortgage right now. If you keep it score, still. But it's being passed on to the consumer because they got you to think that you purchased this home for residential properties. So now it's a residential loan. It's not a commercial loan. So you're in a consumer loan because you're living in the property and you're not making money off the property. But you see how they blur the lines? Prime example, when you get into a commercial transaction and they use you as the personal guarantor. You get into a commercial mortgage under your LLC, but you're the guarantor. See how they blur the lines? Yeah, it's a commercial transaction because when you default under a commercial loan, they can slap you with a 20% default rate, 20% of the remaining unpaid balance. They can never do that under a consumer loan, though. They wouldn't be able to do that then. But when it's time to pay and they'll report on your credit like it's a consumer loan, you're the co-borrower when they need you to be the co-borrower, and you're the guarantor when they need you to be the guarantor. Facts. Any loan level advances made on defaulted loans within the allowable levels provided by investors and insurers are recoverable either from the borrower in a reinstatement or the investor/insurers in a liquidation. There you go. There you go. So all these advances you see, oh, none of this was part of the... Why didn't they put this in the consumer contract? Huh? You see? Why wasn't this in the consumer contract? That I'll be paying back advances, advance to you while they're in default or delinquent. Hey, in the event of default, we may be advanced by the investors, but you have to pay that back. I'm telling you, they play this consumer game. They know how to manipulate it to make you feel like you're in a consumer 1 minute. But then all they got to do is just say escrow or interest, and they're going to slap every fee, every advance, every dollar that you don't even know where your interest is going. You don't even know where your interest is going. And it's going to be the same story. You got $2,500 mortgage. $400 is going to the principal. The $21 is going to the interest. See, that's all. One of the things I uncovered. That word interest is used very loosely. That term interest is used I use it loosely because it has nothing to do with the interest that you think you're paying on a consumer transaction. Absolutely not. That interest is nothing more than the corporate finance world. Now, you got to remember the landscape here. We about to be at the third hearing, and they're at the final stages. It's proving the numbers. See this exhibit they got here? They was never expecting her to understand where these numbers come from. They can't talk about these numbers in court. How it originated, where, the source of them. They can't talk about it. So now they're stuck. And how convenient does the lawyer have a medical procedure with no attachment of the date of the medical procedure, no attachment of the date, no attachment of little evidence or, something that says she has a medical, nothing. I'm not saying there's probably rules where you don't have to disclose, but I'm just saying how convenient on September 1st or July 10th, you now had a medical procedure the same day when, we knew this date for a while now. And one of your cronies filed the motion. All you got to do, LoanDepot, is prove the numbers. That's all you got to do. But it's a difficult time for them to prove the numbers because I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even think the lawyer knows where these numbers really came from. I don't think she has a clue herself. And that's a bad thing for them. Increased mortgage loan delinquencies, defaults, and foreclosures may also result in an increase in our interest expense. Hold on. Let's go back here. What does that say? Miscellaneous default expense, corporate advance. So what's an expense? Just take the normal meaning of expense. Isn't that something you have to pay? Where is it on the contract where they said the borrower in a consumer, quote unquote, consumer contract, that the borrower will have to be liable for the lender's miscellaneous default expense? Because this is a corporate finance statement, financial statement of positions. This is in the corporate finance world. Why are they bringing the corporate finance world to the consumer transaction?
You're rocking with the best.
Huh? You got to put some of these content on TikTok. What's up, boy? Poppy Blanco, what's going on, brother? What's up, bro? I'm just seeing these messages. My bad, broski. What's going on, bro? Hey, man, I do have it on TikTok, boy. It gets spooky over there at TikTok. It gets spooky. And affect our liquidity if we are required to borrow. Let me read this. I'm going to read it again. Increased mortgage loan delinquencies, defaults, and foreclosures may also result in an increase in our interest expense and affect our liquidity if we are required to borrow to fund an increase in our advancing obligations. So whose obligations are these? These advances? Whose obligations are these? Whose obligations are these? Under their servicing agreement, it's their obligation. Under the servicing agreement, it's their obligation. How did that obligation travel all the way back to the consumer side? How'd that happen? Told you, because they got you thinking you're in a consumer transaction, but you are really in a corporate finance transaction. You're not in the transaction you think you're in. In paper court, yeah, it's a negotiable instrument. It's a consumer loan because you primary residence. Yeah, that's the shield they use the courts for. Behind the scenes, man, ain't none of that going on. And remember, I'm friends with a guy that's a senior analyst at Fannie Mae. So you know I know what's going on behind there. That's my friend. You know I already know. It ain't got shit to do with what you think the consumer transaction said. Any additional costs to service these loans, including interest expense on loan level advances, are generally not recoverable and are considered a cost of doing business. But why, when you go here, they got it here as their exhibits as the balance due, the principal balance due on the mortgage loan. Are you serious? So they admit it's not recoverable and it's just a cost of doing business. But when it gets to court, this is part of the principal balance you owe. So when I say I don't give a shit what your contract says, none of those numbers are real. This is part of me and what I read. This is part of the reason. This is part of what I mean. I don't got to know your situation. I don't got to know what's going on. I can look at that contract. Let me see that consumer contract. Okay, none of these numbers are real. As soon as you show it to me, none of it's real. Because this is how this system works. It's not distinguishable between who you are, what company you with, none of that. It's how the system works. In addition, we are subject to risks of borrower defaults and bankruptcies in cases where we might be required to repurchase loans sold with recourse or under representations and warranties. In these cases, a borrower filing for bankruptcy during foreclosure could have effect of staying the foreclosure and thereby delaying the foreclosure process, which may potentially result in a reduction or discharge of a borrower's mortgage loan debt. Go down here to the next highlighted part. The federal government has also brought class actions against lenders asserting that they submitted claims for FHA insured loans that the lender falsely certified to HUD met FHA underwriting requirements that resulted in FHA paying out millions of dollars in insurance claims to cover the defaulted loans. Stop playing with me.
You're rocking with the best.
Everybody thought I was crazy when I said, "Oh, when they foreclosed, they ain't got no, and they foreclosed, you ain't got none of the reason because you didn't pay." That ain't. I've been saying it for. Oh, nah. When they foreclose against you, they may get you to believe because you didn't pay. That is not the reason why they foreclosing on you. Hell no. But I tell you, and this is all what we teach at Set U. Actually been going on in the Supreme Elite team and in the Supreme Elite team university. Remember, I was like, yo, what you think happens in the foreclosure or why the foreclosure is being brought has nothing to do with the reality of why the foreclosure is being brought. They're foreclosed because they can. Let me say it again. The federal government has also brought actions against lenders asserting that they submitted claims for FHA insured loans that the lender falsely certified to HUD met FHA underwriting requirements that resulted in FHA paying out millions of dollars in insurance claims to cover the defaulted loans. They're in default. Takes me back to the hearing. What was the question? Did any of the borrower's premiums or payments go towards your corporate advances? Was there any insurance contracts that were created or generated on this mortgage? Your Honor, that's not required to. I know. I bet you can't explain the source of these numbers, though. Now we get here. Gain on origination and sale of loans. Net gain on origination, sale of loans. Net was comprised of the following components: fair value losses, provisions for loan loss obligation for loans sold, total gain on origination and sale of loans. The decrease in gain on origination and sale of loans net was primarily driven by reduction in volume and margins due to higher interest rates and lower demand, partially offset by fair value gains from hedging instruments. Ooh, this is right in the midst of the corporate. Oh, I love this, the part of the game. Ooh, they in my backyard now. Hedging instruments. Oh, yeah. Yes. It's right in up my alley. The increase in our provisions for loan loss obligations for loans sold reflects increased repurchase and severity of loans that were originated at interest rates lower than the current market rates. Service and fee income. Notice all this, what I'm reading, are the highlighted portions. These are, so you notice this right here, this is part of the exhibits. This exhibits the highlighted portions. So I went through their whole filings and highlighted specific parts. So I went through the whole thing. Okay, this applies to us. This is important. This applies to us. Once the exhibits were attached and put together, now, same thing. Here's the summary of exhibits. Your Honor, this is why this is important. This is why. Because now, since I know both corporate finance and the consumer transaction side, I can merge the two together. So you can't have the consumer without the corporate finance side. You can't have the corporate finance side without consumer. I just bridge them together. And I use the corporate finance side to explain the consumer side. The service and fee income reflects contractual service and fees and auxiliary and other fees, including late charges related to the servicing of mortgage loans. The increase of $55.5 million or 14.1% in servicing income between periods was the result of an increase of $14.9 billion in the average UPD of our servicing portfolio due to servicing retained loan sales and an increase in the weighted average servicing fee. Servicing retained loan sales. We sell the loan to you, but we retain the right to service. Other income. Other income includes our pro rata share of the net earnings from joint ventures and fee income from title, escrow, and settlement services for mortgage loans transactions performed by LDSS. The decrease of $83.8 million or 53.3% in other income between periods was primarily the result of a decrease of $86.3 million in escrow and title fee income due to decreased mortgage loan settlement services. You're talking about millions of dollars a week. What argument you hear online that's going to defeat this? These motherfuckers paying billions of dollars a month. You said unconscionable what? What inks? What? You didn't loan me? What? Yeah, good luck. Good luck. People ain't going for, man. You know what's at stake here? Trading securities at fair value. The $21.14 million or 29.3% increase represents the mellow mortgage capital acceptance securitizations completed in 2022, partially offset by principal collections and fair value losses. We retained a 5% economic interest in the credit risk of the assets collateralizing the securitization pursuant to the U.S. credit risk retention rules. So you keep a little bit for you, just in case default, so we can go ahead and serve as a first loss buffer. Oh, yeah, we understand what's going on right here. Derivative liabilities. The increase of 29.7 million or 78.6% reflects 27.7 million increase in hedging instruments liabilities at the $2 million increase in the IRLCs due to increasing interest rates. Corporate, the name of the game in the corporate finance world, get them in a consumer contract, because consumer laws, they're already set. They're already the standard there. Get the principal, get the interest. It's the interest where we play the corporate finance game with the consumers. Slide everything over there to the interest. We're gonna play a game of corporate finance. We're gonna play a game of corporate finance with the consumer transactions. And that is all they do. Just think about it. Think about it for 1 second. Think about it for 1 second. Think about it for 1 second. Why do you think about it. If you have to pay $2,500 a month on a mortgage, why do you think only $300-$400 going to the principal? Like you gotta, why do you think? It's not for no reason. Our liquidity reflects our ability to meet our current obligations. Told you. I gave this scenario a few months ago. This is how it really goes. Hey, you want this house? Yeah, okay. You can have this house. You ain't even got to buy it outright. Nah, don't use your own assets to buy it outright. Come to us. We'll put up the money for you to get the house. But we're going to get the money for you. But you're going to pay the plug back. But what we telling you, but we really not going to tell you, if this was reality, if this was a real situation, you're going to pay our servicing fee. You're going to pay our obligations. You're going to pay our obligations on the insurance contracts. You're going to pay the premiums. You're going to pay the auxiliary fees. Part of our service fees is coming out of your mortgage payments anyway. So you're going to pay us our fee just to service you. Oh, yeah, you're going to pay all this. We're going to slap the whole corporate finance world rights and park it right there in the middle of interest, a.k.a. finance charge. We're going to park it right in there. Meet our current obligations, including our operating expenses and, when applicable, the retirement of our debt and margin calls relating to our hedging instruments, warehouse and other lines of credit, secured credit facilities, fund new originations and purchases. Hold on. Warehouse and other lines of credit, secure credit facilities, fund new originations and purchase. I thought the mortgage note created the loan for them. I thought they took the mortgage note to the Federal Reserve. I thought your signature created the debt. But they're telling you that's not what we do. That money is already there before you even sign the note. So anytime I hear someone say, we created the funds, our signature created the debt, no disrespect, it just lets me know like how low on the totem pole they're understanding. It really gives off, this is my first year introduction to this, because that's the standard teachings that they teach you in mortgages, that your signature, it's like the sovereign way of accounting. You know, you got real accounting, then you got the sovereign way of accounting. Somehow, some way, everything just comes from them. The whole benefits of the world, it just comes from them. But they, the only ones that seem to not be benefited from benefiting it directly in their own selves. They can always tell you what everybody else is doing to benefit from it, but they can never figure out how they can be a living benefit of it themselves. It's like it escapes them. And they can tell you everybody else who benefits from it. But when you ask them, well, are you benefiting financially the way you say the government and these finance companies are? Crickets and goalposts moving. So that's all you want to see. Meet service and advances requirements and make investments. We identify them. Our primary source of liquidities has been as follows. Funds obtained from our warehouse and other lines of credit. Proceeds from debt obligations. Proceeds received from the sale and securitization of loans. Proceeds from the sale of servicing rights. Loan fees from the origination of loans. Remember I told you they're going to slap those fees on you? They're going to slap the private placement fees. They're going to slap the securitization fees. They're going to slap the loan commitment fees. Well, how do they do this? Well, I'm glad you asked the question. Yes, you've been approved for the loan. Bring $20,000 to close. Ah, there you go. Got it right there. There you go. Well, how do they do that? Oh, that 20 racks, they took a haircut off your loan and paid their fees and origination with it, and then make you make up the difference as a bring this to close. God damn it. Boy, it gets wicked.
You're rocking with the best.
Hey, that's your bring this to close. And it costs you $15,000, $20,000 to close. That's what that is. That's what you're paying. That's your origination. That's their fees you're paying. I know it gets frustrating. I know people getting mad. But remember, this is not about me. And there's times I had to admit, and I admit that there's just some things that professionals and other people know that's out of my league. But in these spaces, the pride and the ego and the desire to be the only one who knows anything, the desire is so rampant that people, it's like when they're amongst someone, who just may understand, like they know within themselves, yeah, he understands this a little bit more than me. Instead of linking with that person, they view that as a personal insult on their own intelligence, especially if they're used to being the smartest ones in the room. This is why there's lack of camaraderie here, because everybody wants to be the top one. See why everybody was online still trying to figure out and grab a package and come from Package Divine and doing this. I was sitting back studying the professionals. I was letting them lay the whole plan out, and I just sat back and just took notes and watched and studied them. Why am I studying them? Because I knew they know way more than me. And I know they are the ones who win way more than they lose. My object was never to find, when I was new, to find another person that just has an opinion masqueraded as a fact. I always wanted to see, what do they do? Let me find the professionals, because I don't give a damn how many people that could show victories, including myself. I don't give a damn. The total success rate is still less than 1%. We're still getting our asses handed to us at an alarming rate. And it's been like this for decades. So why the hell would I want to learn from a person who's not even getting their source from the professionals? The source of your information matters just as much as the information itself. So you got the loan fees from origination of loans, servicing fees, title and escrow fees from settlement services, real estate referral fees, and interest income. That's that. This is the part of our fee from your interest that goes to our pockets. See, when you're paying your interest, part of your interest payments, you think you're paying that to pay your principal back, paying your loan back from them. This is why it takes you forever to put a dip in your principal balance, because every time they collect the payment, it's going towards everything but the actual use or forbearance of money in a traditional lending. The interest payments is what's keeping their operations running. They don't even see that principal and interest. That's not even theirs. The mere fact that the system is set up the way it is, it violates pretty much every law known to man for these transactions. This is why they go through great lengths. They don't even have the legal right to collect principal interest payments from you until they satisfy their own obligations first. But all they got to do is just change the classification of the payments. That's why they call it a receivable. A receivable represents the unrestricted right to principal and interest. In reality, they got to pay them back first before they can collect the dime. This is why they overcharge us, over collateralization, so they can pay them back and they make some money out the deal too. That's why you get spanked on the head with the finance charge. That's why in credit card, it's not uncommon to see a finance charge of 29.9%, 33.9%. And this is why all these damn credit cards are originated in fucking Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or some shit like that, because they got the lax usury laws. That's why you can have an American Express card, but when you first get your card, the motherfucker say South Dakota somewhere. You be like, ah, damn, why all these cards South Dakota? Duh. They could charge 30%. Because it goes by the state the transaction was originated, not the fact that you went through American Express, whose headquarters is probably somewhere in New York. When you get that card in the mail, it's going to say South Dakota, North Dakota, one of those, because those are states that are pretty much broke and they need the business because they pay fees and kickbacks and registration fees and this fees, and then it's, fees to sue in court and all that. So it's big business. It is absurd to have an interest rate on a credit card that's 33%. That is absurd. But these are things you're going to run across when you study the system just for the sake of understanding what's going on and not studying the system because you got a court case in a week and you're trying to cram 7 years of knowledge in 1 week because you got to defend something. Just the impatience of this space. People are impatient with themselves. They're impatient to allow the process to develop on its own. They want it now because everybody tells them it's something to have now. Now. Me, my, why. We rely on the secondary mortgage market as a source of long-term capital to support our mortgage lending operations. Well, damn, new culture. I've been hearing you talk about the secondary market all the time.
You're rocking with the best.
Nah, that's not how it goes. Our signature creates it. Okay. Where you get? Who's your source? Look at this document here. And it's always a script-like document where someone just spewing their whole beliefs on how it goes. Nothing really there on the document that you can actually go back to a source. There's always going to be a misquoted statute, a misquoted regulation, or a case law taken out of context. The case laws will never, ever say what they think it says. They never look at the context of the case. They just read certain buzzwords and think 2 sentences applies to their whole narrative. I've been around for a long time. Been around this space for a long time. Been around the corporate finance for a while. Been around court for 22 and a half years. I understand the nuances of court. I understand how it could go. Trust me. None of this pie in the sky pipe dreams over here. We straight reality. Now, hold on though. Our primary use of funds for liquidity have included the following: funding mortgage loans. Our primary use of funds for liquidity have included the following. First thing, funding mortgage loans. None of that says the consumer's signed promissory note created the funding for the loan, because the funding of the loan, the money is already in the seller's hands, because that what makes it bam. The money is always going to be there before you. By the time you show up to closing, the funds have already been dispersed. The mere fact that this is the reality of how that system operates, it flies in the face of 98% of teachings that your mortgage note funded the loan. People are still going to fight it because they don't want to look stupid and believe that they're wrong. But if your end goal is to get the job done, you wouldn't care about that. You would pivot. Funding loan origination costs, payment of warehouse line haircuts required at loan originations. Remember when I said they take a haircut off your loan? Remember I tell you that they take a haircut off your loan? What is new culture? Okay, give me evidence on why there's a haircut taken off my loan. The old switcheroo right on your closing documents. It's a switcheroo. The corporate finance side of your closing documents. The amounts loan versus the amounts finance. Bam! There you go. That they do the switcheroo right there. And when they calculate your down payment, if the amounts loan versus the amounts finance, it's not at the 20,000 amount. They're going to add that extra 10, 15,000 because they got loan funding, loan originations. They got loan commitment fees. They got private placement fees. They got all these different fees. They got warehouse fees. That makes up your down payment. Has nothing to do with your loan. Nothing. Payment of warehouse line haircuts required at loan origination. Payment of interest expense on warehouse and other lines of credit. Payment of interest expense under debt obligations. Payment of operating expenses. Repayment of warehouse and other lines of credit. Repayment of debt obligations. Funding or servicing advances. Funding or servicing advances. Margin calls on warehouse and other lines of credit or hedging instruments. Payments of tax distributions to holders of holdco units. Payments of cash dividends or distributions subject to the discretion of our board of directors. Repurchases of loans under representations and warranty breaches and costs related to servicing, aka all charged back to the borrower. AKA all charged back to you. Charge all back to you. That's all you. Because when you hear that, this is where all these numbers come in at now. Miscellaneous default or corporate advances, escrow advances, mortgage insurance distributions, everything that they just say where the money actually goes for, they're going to charge it back to you. And none of that has to do with the traditional use or forbearance of money under a traditional loan, aka you think you're in a consumer transaction, but they're looking at it as a corporate finance transaction, aka 5 lenses of the contract. We rely on the secondary mortgage market as a source of long-term capital to support our mortgage lending operations. Right there, you're no longer in a consumer transaction. Right there. As soon as you sign, you're not in the consumer transaction. You're not paying traditional principal and interest back on the traditional loan. Right there, for the moment you close, bam, transaction switches. It stays locked in time for court purposes as it's a negotiable instrument you sign. Think about it. It's a negotiable instrument after you sign it, but it takes on 4 or 5 more different, depending on the funding source and the structure, it's going to take on 4 to 5 different new characteristics, all governed at each stage of its metamorphosis under different rules and regulations and accounting guidelines. That note is 4 or 5 different things. The only thing you need to worry about, how they look at it, is it being a negotiable instrument and you got to pay it back? But it morphs. As soon as they get it, bam, it's no longer a promissory note. Hell no. It remains a promissory note because somebody has to pay somebody else. Notice that's the only thing they worry about with you is paying it back. Because there's no accounting system set up for a tender of a coupon to pay your mortgage. As a matter of fact, remember I said the transaction flips into a corporate finance the moment you close? Remember when I said that? So that means you're looking at it as I'm going to do this to satisfy the debt. You don't even understand the transaction flipped upside down. That's not even that paying back the note. Yeah, that's over and done with. At that stage, it's moved on to something else. You paying multiple other things back. So there's no way that they can convert that into, you think it's to be paid for your loan account. Oh, absolutely not. Actually, that your mortgage loan account, when you make your principal interest payments, that's just the first landing spot of the collection. It's actually called a collection account. That's just the first, everybody that's in the pool who makes the monthly payments, that's just the first spot it lands at. That's the first spot of the receivables. Bam. Because under the quote unquote contract, they got an unrestricted right to collect principal and interest. So the first stage of the transaction with you, that's all that is. But as soon as they get it, it has, like I said, where it's dispersed to where it goes has nothing to do with the traditional lending. And this is, it's one of the reasons why I have Set You, because Set You teaches you this. Like you look past the consumer. You look past the consumer nature of the transaction to see the multiple lenses. Because once you understand how that contract is viewed for multiple lenses, you will better understand how you can fight them from the consumer side. Approximately 77% of mortgage loans that we originated during the year end December 31st, 2022 were sold in the secondary mortgage market to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And in the case of MBS guaranteed by Ginnie Mae, our mortgage loans insured by the FHA or VA. We also sell loans to many private investors. These are your institutional investors. So you got your institutional investors, you got your financial institutions, and you got the government, who has the biggest hands in it, because not only do they purchase these mortgage loans, and I use that term loosely, they insure these mortgages. And then there's another contract for in case you default. Oh, it's one big money-making machine. So when I look at the system from a corporate finance world, then I look at the methods people use to try to get out the debt, it's like you're dead on arrival. You're dead on arrival. And sadly, this is why many people stick to the credit card world. And I understand why. At this time, we currently believe that our cash on hand, as well as sources of liquidity described above, will be sufficient to maintain our current operations and fund our loan operations and capital commitments for the next 12 months. Yeah, right. Down here. Go ahead. Our securitization facilities are generally 2 to 3 year terms. We utilize both committed and uncommitted loan funding facilities, and we evaluate our needs under these facilities based on forecasted volumes of loan originations and sale. As of December 31st, 2022, we maintain revolving lines of credit with 9 counterparties providing warehouse and securitization facilities with borrowing capacity totaling $4.1 billion, of which $1.4 billion was committed. Remember when I said there's like average of 10 to 15 players to the game? Well, this is 9 of them. And this is just one company. They got 9 counterparties. These are 9 different entities that's involved in your consumer transaction. You really think this is a consumer transaction for her? You got 9 different people, 9 different players involved. And I'm doing this to show the highly complex nature of this side of the fence. Many people, when they think securitization, they can't help but think of securitization from a consumer mindset. I'm saying think securitization based on what it really is, for what it is. You can't have a preconceived consumer mindset with this. And it's very hard when you've been dealing with the FCRA and CFPB and FDCPA for years. It's hard not to look at anything outside of a consumer. When we draw on our warehouse and securitization facilities, we must pledge eligible loan collateral. Once again, your note is not creating the funds. Even bigger, you don't see the Federal Reserve anywhere here. Going to the Federal Reserve to get funding, you're looked at as weak and unstable on the secondary market, and no investor wants to take a risk with your company. Going to the Federal Reserve, that's pretty much like a person who made $250,000 a year, and now they have to go sign up for food stamps. That's the equivalence. It's the corporate stigma of going to the Federal Reserve to get funding for our loans. Once again, but these are the main things that are deep rooted in these spaces. Our warehouse line providers require us to make a capital investment or haircut upon financing a loan, which is generally based on product types and the market values of the loan. AKA, this is the reason why the amounts loan, they're going to haircut it, and the amounts finance is a lower number. You just heard it from the horse's mouth. Let's run it.
You're rocking with the best. You're rocking with the best.
That's why. 100K, what's up, y'all? That's why. Our warehouse line providers require us to make a capital investment, AKA, or haircut upon financing the loan, which is generally based on the product types and the market value of the loans. Haircuts are normally recovered from sales proceeds, AKA, when they sell it, they take the haircut. You make up the difference. These are your, what they call it, closing costs. See, they always like, one thing I notice about these people, they love to take the corporate finance reason why they're charging you these fees and interest and slapping a consumer label to them. Your closing costs. Yeah, your consumer closing costs. Bring $15,000 to close on this mortgage. Bring $20,000 to close. Your down payment. Right. Right. That ain't nothing more. That ain't nothing more. Nothing more than them taking a haircut off the top of your funding. Now, since they're all, these warehouse facilities are all set up by the big banks in the world, they understand how the game goes. So they're not going to make them dip into their own assets to cover the fees so you can get the actual loan amount. So you ain't got to bring $10,000 to close or $15,000. They understand how it go. They don't want to mess up their balance sheet accounting. So what do? They just drop it off on the consumer. I told you, the term consumers in the corporate finance world, it was used as consumers of corporate debt. Then they dropped the corporate and it was consumers of debt. Now today, they just use the term consumer, but it still means consumers of corporate debt. That's what you have to do. in order to get a house or get a financing for a vehicle. Consume corporate debt. So the mindset, how they look at consumers, is consume goods. This is why they have a nation of workers and consumers. They want you to consume it. They don't want you to produce it. They don't want you to invest. They want you to consume it. This is why if you look at a person that works at the highest levels of these corporate finance companies, they'll tell you, why the hell would they ever get a credit card for personal expenses? But they would turn around and shove, hey, get this credit card, get this credit card, get this credit card, because the number one game in their world is to generate receivables. Remember, Bernie Madoff told me this in 2019 before he passed. In your world, cash, physical Federal Reserve notes is king. In our world, the right to receive payment is king, because the right to receive payment is more valuable than the payment itself. This is why they don't want you to buy it outright. Oh, no, finance it, pay it back over time. Because that one contract saying, I owe you $500,000 can convert into millions of dollars in the next 2 or 3 years. The problem is the person who's putting the life force and life energy behind those payments ain't benefiting nothing from the other side of the fence. That's a fact. When we draw on a, okay, yeah. All right, let's go down. Derivative financial instruments are recognized as assets or liabilities and are measured at fair value. Oh my God, we get over all the accounting terms. The company accounts for derivatives as freestanding derivatives and does not designate any derivative financial instruments for hedge accounting. All derivative financial instruments are recognized on the consolidated balance sheets at fair value, with changes in the fair values being reported in current period earnings. The company does not use derivative financial instruments for purposes other than in support of its risk management activities, aka over collateralization. Just in case the borrowers default, we got a little buffer. And they create instrument. Okay, so they'll take one principal monthly payment. They will strip it down. They'll sell, I got a servicing right here. You could sell that, strip it down. Oh, we got securities. We got interest only. We got strips. We got principal and interest. You get a prorated share of the interest. You got Class A, Class B, Class C. Class A, you're the first to get paid. You're the last to take a loss. Class B, second to get paid, second to take a loss. Class C, last to get paid, but you're the first to take a loss. The reason why people, the reason why the credit score, the minimum credit score is like a 620 to get a mortgage. Some cases 580. The reason why it's so low, because there's more interest for the investors. So you think when you get a mortgage loan, it's just your more individual loan. They're going to pull you together with other similar characteristics. Oh, I know how the approval process goes. I tell you, I got a friend that works for Fannie Mae, senior supervisor. How they do structure it. So they're going to go off, the normal income, credit score, how much you make. But then it goes to the investors for approval, because they're going to look at the projected default. Hey, we're going to take a loss, but we don't think we're going to take too much of a loss with this person. All right, they approve. The risk is too much. But the game goes is they never expect. In that world, it doesn't matter if you got a credit score of 850 or a credit score of 620. It doesn't matter in that world, because they never expect it all to be paid back. They always account for a loss over the lifetime of the loan right when they originated. So they're already slicing your obligation down. So if they expect to take a $50,000 loss, that $50,000 of your monthly mortgage payments is being parked into a separate second account. So it's not just one person. This person's loan characteristics, they may take a $30,000 loss, $50,000 loss. all the loans in the pool, it may come up to like 70, 80 million. Members going in one pool, one account. So whenever a foreclosure hits, that's when they, bam, write it off the books, bam, cash out the insurance, bam, debit the ACL account, bam, credit the receivables account, bam, set it all, boom, game, set, rents. But hold on, we got this mortgage loan contract here. Now we can just liquidate the property now. We've already cashed out. We already cashed out the advances. I just showed y'all here on YouTube. Look what they're coming to court with. All these numbers that they don't want to explain. That's why they couldn't get the summary judgment, because they don't want to explain where these numbers originate from. Can't even explain the numbers. So I'm telling you, that's the accounting standard. They got to net it from the fair value to the amortized cost base. They got to net it together. So once again, by mere sheer operations of how they work, the balance dues are always going to be incorrect, because they're not going to present the balance that they'll present on their financial statements of position. That amount, they're not going to present that in court. They're going to present the balance that's remain unpaid, and then they're going to do like they're doing here. Take the corporate advance, the miscellaneous default expenses, the interest expenses, the amounts they have to pay that, and slap it and drive it into the principal balance. This is why you got a higher inflated balance in court. But thank God we caught them in that. Now they're stuck on stupid. I mean, think about it. 2 hearings. The last hearing, you got the accountant and you got the litigation specialist. They're reading from the screen. They're reading the amounts to 24th, and they still couldn't get the judgment. Still can explain it. They never can. None of those numbers are real. None of the numbers are real. None of them. Let's go down. Service and fee income. The company receives a service and fee monthly on the remaining outstanding principal balance of the loan subject to the servicing contracts. Right there. So whatever's outstanding in that month, when you make your payment, the balance, part of your monthly payments has already been calculated to account for their fee. So you're paying them to service your loan. Oh, the service and fee is coming out of your monthly payments. Everybody's monthly payments, service and fees coming out of it. That service and fee is not doing anything to drive down the principal balance of the loan. Remember I told y'all earlier in the live, they hide the corporate finance world under interest. 98% of your interest payments are going towards everything but the traditional repayment of a loan. Welcome to the corporate finance world. That's why you can $2,500 mortgage, $300 is going towards the principal, $2,100 or $2,200 is going towards the interest. Auto payment, you got to pay $500 a month for auto payment. $125 is going towards the principal, $375 going towards the interest, and credit cards too. This is why. The way their system operates, automatically there's going to be an inaccurate balance due asserted in court, the way the corporate finance side works. It's automatic. And it's not limited to, well, it's a credit card, it's a mortgage. It don't matter. It's all the same. Different structures, different securities, but the same substance, the essence of the system. It's all. This is how this system works. Over 132 countries participate in it. See, I've moved on from the United States securitization corporate finance because it's becoming redundant, repetitive. Now I'm moving on to different countries on how their securitization systems work. UK's is a lot similar to the US. India got a vicious system too. Sidebar. I posted the Ansatron Convention on my TikTok channel earlier. I think that should end all the teachings and the sellings of international promissory notes online, because now you have it directly from the convention. It takes 10 countries to ratify that convention. They had that convention in 1988. Only 5 countries assented to it. You need a minimum of 10 countries to assent to it before it comes an entry in force. The United States only signed it as a signatory, meaning we showed up at the convention, but they have not ratified it. They don't even have 10 signatories to it, meaning negotiable instruments are governed under your state law version of the Uniform Commercial Code, their own version, whatever state you're in. Because had international bills of exchange, international promissory notes, the Ansatron Convention actually been ratified, then negotiable instruments in the United States would have been governed under the convention. You can't have a dual state law in the convention. The convention would have superseded Article 3. But you notice that when you go negotiable instruments, every state, every county, a locality is going to look at your state laws, negotiable instruments, state laws version of the Article 3. That should have been the biggest indicator that international bills of exchange or promissory notes have no full force and effect in the United States. Thus, this is why they're declared fraudulent when you attempt to use them to pay your bills, because they have just as much value as a used piece of toilet paper after you did number 2. And this is more evidence that the ones who are selling it has no clue about the instrument that they're trying to sell. And what is the number one selling point here? You find a bunch of desperate, low-hanging fruit people who wants to get out of an obligation so fast and desperately needs to do so that all you got to do is just sell them the hope and belief in the dream that it will end their miseries. Not knowing as soon as they buy it and tender it, it's just the equivalent of them doing the headshot to themselves. Another dead on arrival instrument that you purchased. So now that we got that out the way, I soon expect to not see anybody have a live talk about, post about an international promissory note. And if you do see them, all you got to do is go back to my page and look at the convention itself. Sorry. Another balloon has to be popped in these spaces. Now, as we move forward, if you see the highlight, you got the servicing advanced facilities. Yeah. So now this is one of the major ones here. I think we'll be able to get through them all. I think, oh, this is so good. Actually, let's get here. I'm going to do this one first. So once again, remember, their exhibits, LoanDepot's exhibits are now our exhibits. I told you, that's a practice that I use. I take their exhibits and their evidence and use that as evidence against them. Now, defendant's exhibit L, or I think it's L. Plaintiff's certification of possession of original promissory note in the note description. Plaintiff's certification filed with the complaint that the original note was in possession of plaintiff's attorney at their St. Petersburg's office on September 5th, 2024. Verified by an employee of the law firm rather than the plaintiff. The certification does not state when plaintiff acquired the note, from whom it was received, or whether it was released from a document custodian or in what capacity plaintiff holds it. The note bears a blank endorsement without recourse executed for plaintiff by an investor delivery manager. What's the source? Their verified complaint to foreclose. Told you. And this is their, told you, we're going to use they're evident in a mortgage case, regardless of you defendant or I love plaintiff and current, because now we just throw the whole house at them until you respond to you. See, they don't like they respond to us, but in reality, they're responding to themselves. They got to respond to their own admission. They got to respond to everything that they say they do. They got to respond to their own words. Oh, you're not responding against us. You're responding against you. So they filed this certification of possession of original promissory note. The undersigned hereby certifies that plaintiff is in possession of the original promissory note upon which this action is brought. The location of the original promissory note is 12425 28th Street, North Suite, St. Petersburg. The name and title of the person given the certification is Tara Lavertu, original document processor for plaintiff's attorneys. The name of the person who personally verified such possession is Tara Lavertu. The time and date in which possession was verified was September 5th. Correct copies of the note, and if applicable, all endorsements, transfers, allonges, or assignments of the note are attached to this certification. Absolutely none of it was attached. Copies of the note. You get that right there? Copies of the note. So I want to take you back to a case in Florida where the bank sold another bank the note. The bank went and filed the documents, I think the finance statement, to evidence its, right to receive payment, to give us, the status of a holder of the note. However, when they went to go foreclose on someone, the bank, well, not the bank, the appellate court reversed the summary judgment. Is because although he filed, it was first a priority to receive the payment, the security interest, he received a copy of the note. He didn't receive the original note. A copy of the note is not original note because possession of a note, remember, the right to enforce the note can be by possession alone, but you have to have possession of the original note. You can't possess a copy of original and say, hey, I have rights to enforce this. You're going to have to make a compelling case. So this is a copy of the so-called original. And the signature, it's signed in, ink. The date is, so it has an 8, but it looked like they scratched the 8 out and put a 9. So you got it looked like they originally, like they made a mistake. I'm not going to make a big fuss about it. And this is the original note. Now, with all those payments and advances, I just want to examine this note to see if anything that we read from their own admissions is placed on this note to give them any justification for charging all these advance fees, corporate advance fees, miscellaneous expense disbursements, and these advance fees and fees that has nothing to do with traditional lending. I just want to see if it's on the note. Remember, consumer side. Now you see how I'm using the corporate finance side to make the consumer claim stronger. Think about it. Your Honor, they said these advance fees, corporate finance fees, these disbursement fees that they admitted that they charged back to the borrower. Your Honor, none of that was said on the note. They didn't say this on the note. They said this would be charged back to the borrower based on the servicing contract, not based on the note or the deed of trust. But how would you bring that argument up? Oh, the corporate finance world. So we use the corporate finance world to support the consumer claims. I will make my monthly payments. The borrower's right to prepay. I have the right to make payments of principal interest anytime for they do. I would tell the note holder that I'm doing so. I don't see nothing. If the law which applies to this loan, which sets maximum loan charges, is finally interpreted so that the interest of other loan charges collected or to be collected in connection with this loan exceed permitted limits, then any such loan charge shall be reduced by the amounts necessary to reduce the charge to the permitted limit. Why would you need that there if the law says that the law? Why would you just have the right? Any sums already collected from me which exceeds permitted limits will be refunded to me. Well, I'm glad you put that there, because I have plethora of evidence against you that showed that you collected amounts that's not permitted under Florida statutes. Huh? You sure that you wanted to file that continuance? I think you knew what's coming July 10th. You filed that continuance on September 1st now. Well, Miss Jacqueline, whatever your name is, you got a Scud missile waiting on your desk when you come back from your procedure. You got a Scud missile waiting on your desk. The note holder may choose to make this refund by reducing the principal I owe under this note or by making a direct payment to me. If a refund reduces principal, the reduction will be treated as a partial prepayment. Was that right? If the note holder has not received the full amount due on any monthly payment ended 15 after the date, I will pay a late charge to the note holder. The amount of charge will be 4% of my overdue payment and principal. I will pay this late charge promptly, but only once of each late payment. Okay, notice of default. No waiver by borrower. I'm in default. The note holder does not require me to immediately pay in full. Payment of note holder costs and expenses. If the note holder has required me to pay immediately in full, the note holder will have the right to be paid back in full for cause business enforcing this note to the extent not prohibited by applicable law. Those expenses include, example, reasonable attorney fees. Hold on. Those expenses include attorney's fees. That's a reasonable expense in the court. That's a reasonable expense. But what about this expense? Miscellaneous default expense. What about the escort advance? What about the property preservation corporate advance? What about the miscellaneous corporate advance? What about the mortgage insurance disbursements? What about mortgage flood insurance disbursements when there wasn't even a goddamn flood? What about the mortgage interest distribution? What about the funds applicable? What about all these other things that has nothing to do with the use of forbearance of money? What about all those corporate advances? Remember, the corporate advances, you couldn't explain it at 2 hearings. Maybe you should be able to explain it at this hearing. Now, let's see. Uniform, if the lender expects 30 days. So then you have here. Paid to the order of, without recourse, LoanDepot, Jessica Hinton, investor delivery manager. Well, this looks like an endorsement going outward. And you already admitted that you securitized these loans to Ginnie Mae. It's in the Ginnie Mae Trust, investor number G13. And Ginnie Mae and them has their own requirements and regulations and guidelines to use, and when you have to repurchase a defaulted loan. So it's already in the trust, and they already got their guidelines to get the original authoritative copy of the original note back out the trust so you can file with the court to prove that you are in possession of the note, that you are entitled to enforce the note, because there's a certain guidelines and certain standards that you got to use right now. You can't just pop up with it because you're presenting to the courts that you're in possession of the note. And anyone can enforce a note by mere possession. But if you didn't obtain lawful possession of the note, because now you got a set of rules that you got to go by to get it. So let's talk about that. Oh no, this one right here. Nope. Okay, so this is all right. This is the one right here. So where's it at? I think it's this right here. Ginnie Mae custody, single pools, excerpt, description, excerpts establishing that for a loan pool with a Ginnie Mae MBS, the original note must be endorsed in blank and without recourse by the pool and issuer and delivered to and held by an approved document custodian. Right there in your certification of possession, where was all that information at saying that you did that? Where's that information at? You're missing that. Where are that at? Where that at? That a lost note affidavit or lost instrument bond may not substitute for a pulled note. See, it's all pulled together. So there's certain documents that you got to file and form to have it taken out the pool so you can assert that you are now the possession. And did you repurchase it? Because now we get into the corporate finance side. Where's all that at? Where's evidence that you acquired legal ownership of the note? See, you're running yourself into a pickle. See, remember, we're not just the consumer side. The consumer side is going to be elevated by the corporate finance side, but we sticking to the corporate finance side right now. Now, let's go to the highlighted part. In accordance with conditions of the master custodian agreement, HUD form 11715 and certification required on the scheduled pool of mortgages. And the guide issuer must deliver the documents set forth to the document custodian at the premises located on the form. At discretion of the document custodian and the issuer, documents may be delivered incrementally after. It is the document custodian's responsibility to ascertain that the documents relate to the loans listed on the related HUD form. Measure the document custodian must indicate and attest to Ginnie Mae that those loans do not meet certain requirements. The document custodian must be able to provide evidence of such authorization upon the request of Ginnie Mae. And all the highlighted parts, the HUD form determines whether to provide initial certification or reject the pool. The document custodian places the loan documents in safekeeping. Completing of the initial certification, the document custodian prints out a copy of the form and places it in the pool master file. The form places in the master file must reflect the wet ink signature of the employee of the document custodian who authorized Gannett net submissions. Boy, if the documents are in order, the document custodian makes the initial certification on the back of the form. If the form consists of more than one page, the original signature may only be affixed to the last page. The document custodian must deliver a copy of the signed HUD form, evidence and initial certification to the issuer, and place the original signed HUD form in the pool or loan package master file. The original note or evidence of indebtedness, including documents required for modifications, endorsed in blank without recourse by the pool issuer. In all cases, the last endorsement is required to be made by the pool and issuer in blank and without recourse. Ginnie Mae requires that the chain of endorsements from the originator to the loan pool issuer of the note be complete. If the issuer did not originate the loan, all recorded intervening assignments in the loan must be documented. You're already missing the intervening endorsement. You're already missing it. Because LoanDepot.com LLC is not the pool issuer. Nope. You got another corporation for that. So this goes from LoanDepot.com LLC to your Inc. You're already missing it. But we didn't even raise that yet. We're gonna save that for last. We're gonna save that. We're gonna save that part right there. The original consolidated note endorsed in blank, original consolidated note. Remember I told you when there's more, like prime example, give an example. You got Credit Acceptance Corporation, you got Credit Acceptance Fund LLC, you got Credit Acceptance Automobiles Receivables Trust. When it goes on the balance sheet, they're all consolidated on the balance sheets as operating activities, financing activities, investing activities. So there can never be no actual real derecognition. There can never be no actual real sale because you're all consolidated on the balance sheet. So now that you're consolidated on the balance sheet, that means there's a two-step entity in the securitization process. Remember, it's a step up. It's a step-up transaction. The first step is here. The second step there. The third step's there. The chain of assignment's already broken. That's already an ace in the hole. You've already broke the chain of assignment right then and there. So actually, the Ginnie Mae investors, they're now been reduced to unsecured lenders because there's a break in the chain of assignment, and the chain of assignment cannot be broke. in order for them to having rights to enforce. So now that the chain of assignment is broke and the investors are reduced to unsecured lenders, let's go back and talk about these numbers. Yeah. You see what we just did, but Judge, hold on. We'll get back to that in a second. You want to explain these numbers that you say they owe? Want to go back and explain these numbers? He said principal only payment with instructions. So these are all the requirements. Verified complete chain of endorsements exists from the loan originator to the pooling issuer. Ginnie Mae requires that the chain of endorsements from the originator to loan. And then I got a copy of your actual securities issuer, which is your other company that actually issues the securities. They don't appear anywhere on it. So you've already stumped yourself. Verify that the undated endorsement in blank without recourse was made by authorized officer by comparing signatures on the endorsement. And then if the pool note is missing, no modification, law. So they got the whole, so I got the whole guideline, right? Now, so right loan, an issuer may substitute the HUD form for a loan file that has been released for a non-liquidation reason related to bankruptcy, foreclosure, or loss mitigation with a written attestment, but if and only if all documents in the relevant loan file were present and reviewed by the document custodian prior to the file's release, and the issuer must attest that be prepared on the issuer's letterhead, including the reasons why the file has been requested for release and why the files cannot be returned to the custodian, bankruptcy, foreclosure. So you're already missing that from your certification. You certified you was in the possession of the note, but I already know, and you already admitted that Ginnie Mae owns this. So the question is, why do you have the note without filing all the required documents that's needed to certify that it got taken back out the pool? You thought this was sufficient? I told you the same evidence that you're going to use, I'm going to use that evidence against you. Now we call that a RUPL. Plaintiff's no disclosure describes that it originates loans for sale, sells a substantial majority of the loans into the secondary market, and thereafter acts as servicer on behalf of the investors or owners of the loans. And then this is there highlighted. Our servicing consists of collecting loan payments, remitting principal interest payments to investors, managing escrow funds for the payment of mortgage-related expenses such as taxes and insurance, performing loss mitigation activities on behalf of investors, and otherwise administering the mortgage loan service and portfolio in compliance with state and federal regulations. In December 30, 2022 and 2021, we retained servicing rights of 65% of and 87% of loans sold, respectively. We service loans on behalf of investors or owners of the underlying mortgages. And because we do not generally hold loans for investment purposes, our loss exposures is limited to investor guidelines regarding the servicing of delinquent loans. Gain on sale margins represents the total gain on origination and sale of loans and net origination income net divided by loan origination volume during the period. We pour through weighted gain on sale margins and represents the total of gain on origination and sale of loan and origination income net divided by the pull through weighted rate lock volume. Oh, just gotcha. And then let's go right here to your balance sheet. Loan sold. Service and retain, service and release, total loan sold, loan units. Then I highlighted the 60-day delinquents, all that. And number 2, amounts represent the fair value of service and rights, net of service and liabilities, which are included in accounts payables, accrued expenses, and other liabilities in the consolidated balance sheets. So all this is representing. So I'm taking this and I'm breaking down. And when I filed the actual summary of exhibits, it's actually explaining why these exhibits are here, what it means, what it signifies, and how it affects them even more. So all these are, as you can see, this is their balance sheet. I'm going to be explaining their balance sheet. Now, right here, Exhibit B. Loans eligible for repurchase and unilateral buyout option. Disclosures describe a Ginnie Mae pool and the servicer's unilateral repurchase buyout option on loans 90 plus days delinquent, and the balance sheet recognition that follows when the company is deemed to have gained effective control over the loan. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Bringing the corporate fine. Now, defend against your admissions. Now, let's take all this and go back to your note certification that you in possession of the note. Let's go back. Let's go back right there. Let's go back right there. You say you in possession of the note. You sure? You know you're missing some forms. You know you're missing some forms. You're missing quite a few. Matter of fact, here are the forms that you're missing. These are the forms you're missing, LoanDepot. We may be required to identify the purchasers of loans that we originate, including securitization trusts, or repurchase those loans if those loans fail to meet certain criteria, characteristics under circumstances. Our contracts with purchasers of mortgage loans that we originate, including GSEs and other financial institutions that purchase mortgage loans for investors or private label securitizations, and the agreements for securitization transactions for which we act as the securitizer, contain provisions that require us to indemnify the related securitization trust or the purchaser of the mortgage loans, or to repurchase the mortgage loans under certain circumstances. We also pull FHA insured and VA guaranteed mortgage loans with backed securities guaranteed by Ginnie Mae. While our contracts vary, they generally contain provisions that require us to identify these parties or repurchase these mortgage loans if our representations and warranties concerning mortgage loan quality and mortgage loan characteristics are inaccurate or are otherwise breached and not remedied. If the borrower defaults on the loan payments within a contractually defined period, aka early payout default, you already got paid. Everybody, the investors already got paid out. And I already know that because, you know, my friend at Fannie Mae, the investors already got paid. So you're not looking with this foreclosure to recover on them. They already got paid. The question is, did you repurchase the loan? Did you buy it back? If so, why are you missing these forms from the filing? Because that shows evidence. You can't just get there and say you were in possession of the note. You came into possession this day. No, that's insufficient. Not to mention, you can't even substantiate the numbers anyway. But that's just more of a by the way. And this right here is just all the highlighted parts here. It's just more scalping. The owners of the mortgage loans, including securitization trusts for which you have retained service rights, may, under certain circumstances, terminate our rights to service the mortgage. Right. After it could be, you know, these are their risk factors. You know, all the rest of this page is one big scalpel, one big scalp fest. And then I think it's the last one I have right here. This schedule summarizes every entry appearing on plaintiff's customer activity sheet for the subject loan covering October 21 through July 2026, which contains 233 transactions lines across 8 pages. The underlying documents is in evidence as Exhibit K and is available for the court and to opposing counsel for examination. Every figure below is taken directly from plaintiff's own ledger. No figures have been estimated, adjusted, or supplied from any other source. Once again, taking your own evidence and using it back against you. 7 payments of $2,784.45 were received. The last was applied on June 16th, 2023 to the installment due April 1st, 2023. Plaintiff's records reflect the loan as of May 1st, 2023 and show no payment applied since. So on 9/22/2022, they made a payment of $2,784.45. $1,628.30 went to interest. $310 went to principal. $846 to escrow. There you go. Direct evidence. Same thing, right? With the separate principal curtailment of $116 posted on September 22nd, 2022, the total principal reduction is $2,323.56, which reconciles exactly to the difference between the loan setup amount, $319,014, and the stated principal balance, $316,690.47. The interest amounts correspond to a conventional accrual at the note rate of 6.125% on the declining balance. Principal and interest reconcile. Defendants raise no issues with them. Oh yeah, sir, I'm a numbers guy. I take their numbers. I look at the corporate, the secondary market, the rates and the market rates, and I point out the difference between the interest that they're charging you and the interest they got to pay. And then when they add their amortization cost basis to it, that's what jacks your finance charge up. It looks like everything is good on the surface in the mortgage because they make sure the interest rate is about 6%, whatever the state law is. But what they're not doing is they are slapping you up and down that 30-year mortgage with the effective interest rate. So a 6.125% mortgage can easily jump to 6.3.7%. Tens of thousands of dollars in excess interest that they're collecting, not because it's part of the traditional lending, it's because you're financing their corporate finance obligations and everything that we talked about here. So they slap those numbers, I call it the hidden figures. They slap the hidden figures in between the stated principal, in between the effective interest rate, and they slap it and they spread it across so you don't see it's there. But I break every number down, and I've been breaking these hundreds and hundreds of these I broke down. The numbers never add up. Schedule 2, escrow. Y'all, this is what I put together for the file of the exhibits. Very professional, very technical, very detailed, very to the point. Escrow advance amount per plaintiff's exhibits, $24,753.98. Pro rata MIP PMI amount per plaintiff's exhibit 5, $424.24. Combined, $25,178.22. Escrow balance per plaintiff's customer activity statement, July 6, 2026. $25,178.22. The escrow figures reconcile. The advance of November 10, 2023, $3,252.79 against a tax disbursement of $3,562.12 is likewise explained by the $309.33% escrow balance then on hand, as plaintiff account history shows. Defendants raised no issue with escrow. Schedule 3, corporate advances by category. Plaintiff's customer activity statement, Exhibit K, describes 118 charges only as corporate advance disbursement. This is the part where we stuck at the hearing, which they had to continue for the second time. This is the part. This is when, when you're getting warm, right? This is where, right here. Plaintiff's account history exhibit N identifies the same charges by category. Through June 4, 2026, The account history reflects the following: miscellaneous default expenses, corporate advances, 70 entries, $15,234.66. Attorney corporate advance, 8 entries, $3,966.90. Property preservation corporate advance, 25 entries, $740. Miscellaneous corporate advance distributions, 2 entries, $123.93. Total, 105 entries, $20,068.49. Relative to the filing of this action on September 23rd, 2024. Before the complaint was filed, you had 13 entries totaling of $1,724.59 with a share of 8.6% of the balance. On or after the complaint was filed, 92 entries, $18,343.90 represents 91.4% of the balance total after the complaint was filed. With all the exhibits and updated figures, update after 105 entries, $20,068.49, representing 100% of the balance. 4 of the charges posted the same day, May 9th, 2024, are 69 cents, 69 cents, 64 cents, 64 cents. On 14 other dates, the same dollar amount is posted too. 3 or 4 times in a single day. After the complaint was filed. I'm a numbers guy. You're dealing with a person that knows how to legally cook the books. So you don't think I know when the books are being cooked? You ain't think I was going to catch it? I'm a numbers guy. And the harsh reality about this is anyone, everybody's going to look like this once I run the numbers. This is the harsh reality of this system. Everybody's contract is going to look like this. Every single one is going to be cooked. Whether you're current or in default, the numbers are not correct. They are inaccurate. Schedule 4. Plaintiff's 2 records do not agree. For the identical period, plaintiff's account history reflects $20,068.49 in corporate advances, while plaintiff's customer activity statement, the document furnished to the borrowers, reflects $19,078.90. The following 9 charges appear on the account history and do not appear anywhere else on the customer statement. December 1st, 2023. Miscellaneous corporate advances, $111.93. December 1st, 2023. Miscellaneous corporate advances, $15. March 14th, 2024. Property preservation corporate advances, $20. May 9th, 4 entries, 69 cents, 69 cents, 64 cents, 64 cents. November 26, 2025. Miscellaneous default expenses corporate advances, $30. February 2nd, 2026, miscellaneous default corporate advance, $810, $989.59. Schedule 5, reconciliation to plaintiff's demand. Corporate advances per plaintiff's account history, June through June 4th, $20,068.49. Recorded corporate advance balance per plaintiff's exhibit 5 of June 11, 2026. $18,350.40. The unreconciled difference, the amount that they can't explain, the amount that's that these little differences right here is keeping them in their home because they can't explain it. $1,718.09 of unexplained money. But you asserted it. They never expected us to break every dollar and sit down to say, you're off $1,718.09. Where did you get this balance from? Literally, that's what we're doing during the trial. I'm sitting there while she's talking. I'm running the numbers. I said, nah, it's off like 4,000 or 5,000. They're still off. She was like, oh yeah, hold on, I see it too. They're off too. The court reporter was like, I got a different number. The court reporter got a different number. My client, she got a different number, and I got a different number. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Throw the script out the window. We found it right here. We stick them right here. We not moving off this position right here. Throw the rest of, put the rest of the script to the side. We gonna freestyle this. Right here. So we're gonna stay right here. Plaintiff's judgment worksheet claims a smaller advance balance than its own ledger. If the difference represents charges plaintiffs determined were not recoverable for the borrowers, plaintiff has not identified which charges those are on what basis the remaining $18,353.40 is recoverable under the note. The mortgage or applicable Department of Housing and Urban Development requirements. HUD requires this. Schedule 6, attorney advances within the advance balance. 8 charges categorized on plaintiff's account history as attorney corporate advances, totaling $3,966.90 are carried inside the corporate advance. You see, you got the attorney. The judge said, I usually think that the attorney's advance are with the corporate advance. But you got the attorney's advance, but that's carried inside the corporate advance. The attorney's advance, we get that. But you got it buried it. I'm telling you, if you don't understand numbers, they're going to get away with it. They messing with the wrong one. I am a numbers guy. That's all I do is numbers. I live, sleep, and shit numbers. That's all that be floating in my head is numbers. It's becoming so fucking normal to me that I can look at an APR and start assessing what's the actual spread and the yield is on the secondary market side based on the numbers that's on the finance charge on the contract. I can start calculating. This looks like about 6.2.3, 6.4% spread on the secondary market. Looks like they smacked them for about 15% spread, the difference. And then when I run the numbers, it's like 3-4% off. I was in the ballpark. 8 charges, September 24, 2024, $325,000. October 3rd of the same year, $1975. October 3rd, same day, $50. Same day, $7. Same day, $5. November 4th, $629. July 29, 2025, $850. August 4th, $125. Total, $3,966.90. 7 of the 8 post-date the filing of this action. Plaintiff separately seeks an award for attorney's fees in paragraph 11 and in the prayer relief of his complaint, but it's already built here. Schedule 7. Oh, you think I'm done? Hey, Jesse, send me them numbers. Johnny, send me them numbers. Send me them numbers. Let me look at them numbers. I need the numbers. I'll reconstruct their whole, I will re-put them back together. Late charges, May 16, 2024, $77.53. June 17, same year, $77.53. July 16, $77.53. August 16, $77.53. 4 late charges were assessed between May and August 2024 against the installment due of May 1st, 2023. 12 to 16 months after that installment came due, and no others before or since. You charge 4 different late charges for the same date. The mortgage was due on 4 different dates. You did not think I was going to. I'm a numbers guy. All I do is numbers. On 4 different dates, you charge a late charge for the same goddamn installment period. Plaintiff's payoff demand. Opponent per plaintiff's exhibit 5. I'm taking their own numbers because their numbers is the consumer numbers. These numbers is the corporate finance numbers. I take their numbers and present the real numbers. And everything that you see here at the end of each section is called the hidden figures. It's the name of this live stream, the hidden figures. That's why you're looking at it right now, the hidden figures. So I saved this for last. So everything that I said earlier, it leads up to this moment, the hidden figures. The total principal balance, $316,690.47. Total interest amount, $61,956.15. Prorated MIP PMI amount, $424.24. The escrow advance amount, $24,753.98. Total fees amount, $31.50. Total accumulated late charge payment amount, $310.12. Recorded corporate advance balance, $18,350.40. Total amount to pay off, $422,516.86. This is the next amount, right? These components added to the stated total and the per diem of $53.14 corresponds to the note rate on the stated principal balance. The contested components are the escrow advance, the fees, the late charges, and the corporate advance balance. $43,446 in the aggregate, together with the attorney's fees sought separately. This summary was prepared by defendant by tabulating every transaction line on plaintiff's customer activity statement, Exhibit K, and every transaction line on plaintiff's account history, Exhibit N, and comparing both to plaintiff's judgment worksheet, Exhibit N. It states no opinion and performs no calculations other than addition and subtraction of figures plaintiff itself reported. Pursuant to section 90.956 for the statute, the underlying records are available for examination and copying by the court and by opposing counsel, because after all, this is what they actually presented to the courts. Heading in to September 1st, the numbers are still off. They're still off. They just said their new statement for July. They're still off. With updated figures, they're still off. It don't matter. You want to readjust it, they're still going to be off. That's the thing about accounting. Once they're off the first time, they're off. You can't add more to it to make it up. Counting is very tricky. Once the numbers are off, you're never going to get the right number. And what do I use this under? Hey, their claim is the amounts due. The amounts due. They can't substantiate the amounts due. And long as I keep, once I keep spanking the accounting, the set you on them, they can't move. This is the, remember, it's about to be the third continuance of the hearing. It's the third time of the hearing. The third time, and they're at the summary judgment trials, and the numbers are still. Do You think the judge gonna be able to explain and break that down? It's 7 different items that are off. They ain't gonna about to be filed this week. Your Honor, the numbers are still off. Ahead of September 1st, the numbers are still off. The numbers are still off. You can't get around a numbers guy. Can't get around a numbers guy. I will dissect every penny. There's no contract, consumer contract, that's been securitized where the numbers are always going to can't be. It's impossible. There's no contract that I've seen where the numbers were all 100% straight. They're always off. And that falls right to accurate amounts assumed. Well, once again, this has been another scalping, and we will see where this led. See where it goes. Since it's all inspired by the Supreme Elite Team University, I think it's only fitting to end with the Supreme Elite Team anthem. One gone, and let the accounting be with you.
They studying the source now. Supreme Elite. New Empire talk. Came on reading numbers. They were reading memes. He was reading filings. Planning out the dream. Turn every late fee in the case law heat. Judge bang gavel. He don't skip a beat. They like how you flip stress into assets. How you turn a loss in the last check. Thomas took notes, broke codes, then he proved it. Now the classroom global and the language fluid. Thomas is the blueprint. Write that in the sky, let the crew print. From the courtroom smoke to the new man. He designed the way we move our 2 cents. Thomas is the blueprint. Supreme Elite Team, that's the school stamp. From the first lay bill to the full camp. New culture empire, watch the flag plan. Supreme Elite Team University. Turn the credit score into currency. Turn the closed door to a first key. Turn the side job to a legacy. He beat odds, then he beat litigation. Now we teach law like a new translation. From confusion into consultation. From survival into foundation. They log in, lights on in their eyes now. Section this, call that. They reply now. He like, know your rights, then apply now. God, that's the real drip. Let it dry now. Thomas is the blueprint. Write that in the sky, let the crew print. From the courtroom smoke to the new man. He designed the way we move our 2 cents. Thomas is the blueprint. Supreme Elite Team, that's the school stamp. Wave it. From the first lay bill to the full camp. New culture empire, watch the flag plan. From the bench to the block, he reversed that. Put the power in the pen, yeah, he birthed that. Every mind that he frees, that's a verse that. Whole culture on the rise, you can search that. Hey. Thomas is the blueprint. Write that in the sky, let the blueprint. From the courtroom smoke to the new man. He designed the way we move our 2 cents. Thomas is the blueprint. Supreme Elite Team, that's the school stamp. From the first lay bill to the full camp. New culture empire, watch the flag plan.
I just popped me a molly. Nigga can't even sleep. Her pussy
nothing for whips. Fuck boys and real niggas will never ever coexist. Just came home, ain't got no paperwork, never let a man on it lit. My bitch know I got good dick, never talk about it with her friends. We gon' do this shit like a man, walking down out the whips. You ask a lady for a favor, that ain't my language, yeah, he talking French. Just turn the page on the chapter, money pals with them after. So what the fuck is you saying, nigga? Shit don't even matter. Bitch know that I'm the man, jumping in my DM thinking nigga sweet, trying to work me with the scams. I was on the plane shackled up with the lunch bag in my hand. Was on 23 and when he came by myself, hit me with them Zans. Oh man, if I'm not with my wife, then I'm with a bad bitch. All the mochas in there try doing backflips. Diamonds icy, you can skate on them hat tricks. Dirty hoes, pussy smell like a catfish. Wish you was on my team like my last bitch. Fresh feelings down the toilet, my last shit. I ain't stopping till they dip in the casket. Still dripping, but it's slow like molasses. Pop me a Molly, nigga can't even sleep. A pussy all in my face, nigga can't even eat. Got me clenching my jaws, nigga can't even speak. House surrounded by hitters, nigga can't even creep. That fuck shit for the birds. Don't give a fuck about your feelings. Liddy gonna treat the bitches like a turd. We pulling up, just get a word. A lot you niggas flowing straight garbage. I'ma sit you niggas by the curb. And fuck a charge, hit my lawyer and he showing up and looking like a nerd.
You want too much liquor, nigga can't even drive. Say on the deuce, I done dropped about 5. I done step in the beat with my 5. You gon' run up in your head when we fry. All I know real, I ain't telling no lie. Get shit grilled, I'm telling come try. Got your bitch in my crib, that shit on island. Baby, I'm man eating like FIFO. So you gon' take my shit, I ain't one of them guys. Rap up my dog, ain't one of them bite. Rap up my post, ain't one of them strike. I got 2 more foes, but I ain't got no spray. Get behind a nigga, bitch like hype. Swerving lane, slamming on your bitch like Mike. I ain't got shit to say, nigga, read me my right. Catch him in traffic, he sleeping.
I just pop me a Molly, nigga can't even sleep. A pussy all in my face, nigga can't even eat. Got me clutching my jaws, nigga can't even speak. House surrounded by hitters, nigga can't even creep. That fuck shit for the birds. Don't give a fuck about your feelings. Lily gonna treat the bitches like a turd. We pulling up, just get a word. I lie you niggas flowing straight garbage. I'ma sit you niggas by the curb. Fuck a charge, hit my lawyer and he showing up and looking like a nerd. Beat it. Pressure, nah, I ain't feeling no pressure. Nope, I ain't stunting her, man. She wanna get on top of shit, I'ma let her. Come here. With this street code, I abide to the letter. 100, nigga. It's just me against me, I ain't feeling no pressure. There's no hoes barred with the shit, nigga. Everything gon' go. Hoes come to see me, I miss a heart and hustle up with the flow. I used to stand in the crowd, but now I'm the star of the show. My 10 in the field to play, I know you niggas looking down at my toes. I'm only smoking on pressure, I'm digging graves with the shovel. Just like Pac in my nigga bags, you should know Liddy be a rebel. They watch the corner for a stat, my little nigga be the lookout. You broke that shit embarrassing, like the drunk uncle at the cookout. My 10 down, you got a foot out. I fuck my bitch, never pull out. A bitch drowning my drip flicker, she gon' feel the stain from my wrist. You disrespect on that click, I put the tech on your lips. No handouts, they gon' go get it, Liddy cut a check for a quick. No pressure, nah, I ain't feeling no pressure. Nope, I ain't stunting her, man, she wanna get on top of shit, I'ma let her. With this street code, I abide to the letter. 100, nigga. It's just me against me, I ain't feeling no pressure. There's no hoes barred with the shit, nigga, everything gon' go. Hoes come to see me, I miss a heart and hustle up with the flow. I used to stand in the crowd, but now I'm the star of the show. My 10 in the field to play, I know you niggas looking down at my toes. I ain't feeling no pressure, I do this shit in my sleep. I treat the hoes like a dog, want the bitches on a leash. I open up my palm, them tell the niggas come and eat. I got a kiss in my hand, can't tell me I ain't no peace. Liddy counting his blessings, know he put me up on this level. My praise is up to the gods, but don't make me turn into a devil. I need to find that screw, cause I know my shit be loose. Went to sleeping on floors, now trapping out of the booth. No pressure, I ain't feeling no pressure. I ain't stunting her, man, she wanna get on top of shit, I'ma let her. With this street code, I abide to the letter. It's just me against me, I ain't feeling no pressure. There's no hoes barred with the shit, nigga, everything gon' go. Hoes come to see me, I miss a heart and hustle up with the flow. I used to stand in the crowd, but now I'm the star of the show. My 10 in the field to play, I know you niggas looking down at my toes. Run it up, run it up. Run it up, hey. I'm cooking up dog food. She play with the dick with the tosses. I'm smoking that leaf from Toronto. They watching that whisk like a car show. You look like you wanna get shit off your chest. I thought so. I'm back in this game, now you sit at the end of the bench. I thought so. Yeah, back in this motherfucker like I left something in this bitch. A whole gallon of the white. I'm getting drunker than a bitch. Big straps with the Mac 11s got me putting extendos in the clip. And lay your shit up on the curb like you didn't pay your rent. Got Papa John dope, but no pizza. The dope with his flipping straight O's and the zippers. Right off the Peter Pan, intake at 9 if you open this Millicent with you. My BBE label with guys on the tables. Fuck those scar to your Dracos. This map make you jump, no Chris Carson in stable. You can scout like potatoes. Shorty saying that I am the one. Who the fuck you think she Billie Jean? She want a nigga, put her on the team. I can spitting out my kiss a Listerine. The flow is bucking like it's Greek the Freak. But I keep it 44 like Pistol P. My really shitting on your biggest dreams. About to floor with you niggas, Mr. Clean. I'm cooking up dog food. She play with the dick with the tosses. I'm smoking that leaf from Toronto. They watching that whisk like a car show. You look like you wanna get shit off your chest. I thought so. I'm back in this game, now you sit at the end of the bench. I'm in the projects like I'm packed with a cake. They ask about it, they say missing no plate. I know the smells when they pull out them trays. It's nothing edible that sits in the place. Right out of prison, I ain't snitching nobody. You ain't jumping lessons up on the case. I need some water so I can splash in the lake. And I need a rat so I can eat, I'm a snake. My bitch from Louisiana and she Creole with sticking head. Hopping out like she clear. We ain't missing, ain't no shots at the feet. Though the out of time, got them thinking it's zero. Sticks be as long as a cord extender. You get blown like a cartridge Nintendo. Fuck nigga, actually raw like you nothing. That's because you be playing the middle. I got an issue with the streets, it's breeding snitches. That's why I'm a family guy like Peter Griffin. Heard about Western Road, think I need a Smith. And issue time with this close, I think he a blister. Matters with the clips, I'm pushing T in my sack. You want the smoke, and you'll catch your T at your nap. Alphabet sticks, let the T in the map. Bitch, I'm hotter than few, that's gon' leak out the jet. I'm cooking up dog food. She play with the dick with the tosses. I'm smoking that leaf from Toronto. They watching that whisk like a car show. You look like you wanna get shit off your chest. I thought so. I'm back in this game, now you sit at the end of the bench. I thought so. Yeah, I know what it is, nigga. You don't know what you know by now. Like I said, nigga, I don't ain't here to make no fucking friends. We'll be buddy rappers with niggas. Man, this bitch should have money, nigga. That motherfucking money. That's the only thing I move. I don't give a fuck about nothing but that bag, nigga. And racks, nigga. And stacks, nigga. Any means necessary, nigga. By any means, nigga. That man about to drop me half a thing all right now, nigga. I can't wait, nigga. Let's get it. He just wanna stack in the lean, nigga. Dead in the dish, okay. I let you know. Them case got a lot of them cutters, got legs in the end. Oh no, don't play with the folks. He whipping that pots and that nigga in love with them trays. Woo, like he fuck with the lopes. Every dollar that I'm touching, leave blood on my hands. Yup, and there's blood on the dope. Yeah, we ballin' these stacks that I jumped at the gym. Hey, rubber band stopped in the bands. I got stacks in my hands, it's in K on the strips. Hey, bitch got her face in my lap. Hey, I'm blowing it straight out the zip. Hey, they ain't no shaking these packs. Hey, and never a day able to say, yeah. Dropping the brick in the shit, hey, they got that lick in my wrist, hey, we take the scale out the fish, yeah, bitch you can tell that we rich, yeah, I got these niggas on skates, look at these niggas they hate, they mad they bitches are rolling, and they bitches come with no brakes, yeah, and we gonna come at you straight with a drum and they can't make you run like you Drake, yeah, diamonds are cold as a freezer but big as the ice as I come on the tray, yeah, hang from the neck got it dripping, yeah, follow the trail to the kitchen, yeah, they pull the rocks at the pot and they chopping the blocks but they dope but they sifting, yeah, they got a blender they shifting, I'm fucking my bitch and her sister, yeah, well half of my knobs and they splinter, yeah, they eating this dick up for dinner, yeah, throwing them stacks on them strippers, yeah, can only do that if you winning, yeah, and if it's stats that you getting, then you gotta lift the bitch stacks to the ceiling, let's get it. He just wanna stack in the lean, nigga, dead in the dish, okay, I let you know, them case got a lot of them cutters, got legs in their end, oh no, don't play with them folks, he whipping that pots and that nigga in love with them trays, woo, like he fuck with the lopes, every dollar that I'm touching, leave blood on my hands, yup, and there's blood on the dope, yeah, we ballin' these stacks that I jumped at the gym, hey, rubber band stopped in the bands, I got stacks in my hands, it's in K on the strips, hey, bitch got her face in my lap, hey, I'm blowing it straight out the zip, hey, they ain't no shaking these packs, hey, and never a day able to sit, hey, yeah, step out the whip and they look at my way, I just look at him, put some bands on his butt for my nigga, the judge threw the book at him, I'm trying to get me a quart on a plate. The devils just look at it. Hey, bro, niggas, but get out her face. The bitch trying to look at me. Trapping the best of the jeweler. The chopper too long, leave the ruler. I'm checking the time on a mule. And they should be landing in Cuba. 10 racks on the pack if we move with the put the 10 racks on your head or you shoot it. Then chop it like cycles is lighter than Michael and Wooper Jacks up with the Ruger. They come with a mask on like Jason and snatching your bricks and they break down ace out the keys. They taking it all, won't leave you with nothing, not even an eighth for you to keep. Who said we walking, just look at the fleet. Ain't doing, don't talk or reach under the seat. Nigga, you stink like a bum in the heat. We can like chest is 100 a week. Yep. He just wanna stack in the lead, nigga, dead in the dish. Okay, I let you know. Them kids got a ladder, them cutters got legs in their end. Oh no, don't play with the folks. He whipping that pots and that nigga in love with them trays. Woo, like he fuck with the lopes. Every dollar that I'm touching, leave blood on my hands. Yep, and it's blood on the dope. Yeah, we ballin' these stacks that I jumped at the gym. Hey, rubber bands, nothing in the bands. I got stacks in my hands, it's in K on the strips. Hey, bitch got a face in my lap. Hey, I'm blowing it straight out the zip. Hey, there ain't no shaking these packs. Hey, and never a day able to sit. Hey.
Yeah, you know what the fuck it is, niggas. G Liddy. Say these bitch stay the fuck out my way. Stay the fuck out my way.
Y'all know what I'm talking about, man. It's under the streets, your boy Young Lotto. It's Young Lotto. 2 down, DMV stand up. Y'all know what it is,
Mr. 100 round.
Get it. So if money talking, my talking round the clock. What you need, you cop it. The pills, them pounds, them rocks. A couple niggas ballin', cause they got a block. A royal flush will spot them, right around the top. So I'ma make it bounce back, so all you get is straight piff. She fucking niggas' pockets, now they need a rape kit. Money's my motivation, that's why they hate chicks. Mommy talking round the clock, nigga no breaks, bitch. We carry big weight, we will big on the streets. Been about mine since I was in my dungarees. We blow a big tree the size of a jungle leaf. He think he big meat supplying with 100 piece. I'ma make it bounce back so all you get is straight pip. Triple B, no in between, so all the pictures can't miss. Have your daddy stuck right down that chimney like Saint Nick. To take your 2 cents and stick him in your anus. It's royal flush, nigga. I see your pantyhose. You bragging about one bra, bitch, nigga, I any hoes. I do not mingle, rotate them like hot singles. Just the sound of my money make they twat tingle. So if money talking, my talking round the clock. What you need, you cop it. The pills, them pounds, them rocks. A couple niggas ballin', cause they got a block. A royal flush and spot them, right around the top. So I'ma make it bounce back, so all you get is straight hit. She fucking niggas' pockets, now they need a rape kit. Money's my motivation, that's why they hate chicks. Mommy talking round the clock, nigga no breaks, bitch. I'm the lotto pick, I keep an honest click. And if we were a thing, that wouldn't be stopping it. We smell a bitch as if he stuck up in some doggy shit. Shorty sniffs my money, that gives me doggy licks. It's absurd how the chain is chipped up off the bird. Oh, half the rims, half the panties taken off his girl. Fuck the ground, oh my niggas post smell them birds. They say talk is cheap, so I'ma wholesale my words. I'ma make it bounce back. Niggas getting straight pit, choking to his face blue. Bust the nigga bank crip. Fuck around, all my niggas off that same shit. Man, ain't no problem to get bang quick. So if money talking, my talking round the clock. What you need, you cop it. The pills, them pounds, them rocks. A couple niggas ballin', cause they got a block. A royal flush, you spot them, right around the top. So I'ma make it bounce back, so all you get is straight hit. She fucking niggas' pockets, now they need a rape kit. Money's my motivation, that's why they hate this. Mommy talking round the clock, nigga no breaks, bitch.
You're rocking with the best. You're rocking with the best. You're rocking with the best. You're rocking with the best.